Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talking About Balls. I am Justin George, joined as always by Kyle Price. I love that intro. I wonder if George knew that was going to be a thing or if we snuck that by him. I remember when I ran the board last time, I switched it up.
Looks amazing.
I like it. So what is going on, Kyle? Long time no see. How you been, man?
Good. Just me and my fellow. Let's see.
Back in the old cuck room, huh?
Cuck room again. There you go. So, no, I'm down in
It's exciting
right now, hanging out. So long day today. Busy day traveling, but not much, man. Last time I saw you, we were having a couple of adult beverages over at your old party over there in Parma, which was a great time.
It ended up being a surprise 36th birthday party, as expected. Everybody came out. We went to Pounders, had some drinks. I got very drunk. I fell asleep on the way home. But overall, it was a great time. So thank you everybody that came, and I had a really good time.
It was a blast. What's that?
I said it was nice to get out. I hadn't been out in a while.
Even though we kind of ruined it when you walked up, you saw everybody through the window, though, so it's okay.
It happens. It was still up to the last second of being surprised.
But no, I mean, since then, just heavy work. Mostly just doing work and nothing too exciting. Tried to go golfing last weekend, but of course it was too rainy, too cold. I'll see that into Saturday if I can. And other than that, no, really, man, there's not much really to talk about. Just basic stuff, man. I don't have much BS. It's been a boring couple weeks here, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, same. Like we went out for my birthday. I'd been busy with work, not dealing with Teddy, but having a kid, you just sit at home, you do nothing. You just take care of her, play with her, feed her. And then she's in bed by 7:00. So your night's kind of over. And on nights where Tara's working, obviously I can't go anywhere. So just sitting at home, watching movies, catching up on shows, living that dad life. Passed my audit last week with flying colors and went smooth. Went really well. This week, Tara and I started our cleanse. I don't know if you remember. Yo, what's up, Pat? How you doing, dude? I don't know if you remember back in 2020, Tara and I did that cleanse it's a 21-day cleanse, and it's literally like just vegetables, fruit for the first 11 days. You're not allowed to eat meat. I'm allowed to reintroduce 5 ounces of protein on the 11th day. Today is day 3. I've literally just been eating fruits and vegetables and drinking water. You're not allowed anything else, no sugars, no fucking flavors, really. I mean, you're allowed like some seasoning like garlic and salt and shit like that, but you can't really get wild. My lunches have consisted of a smorgasbord of fruits and vegetables. I eat a lot of asparagus, sweet potatoes, broccoli, carrots, just basic shit, and then raspberries, blackberries, shit like that. I can safely say, though, that as of Sunday, I am down 6 pounds already, so it works.
Oh, shit.
It definitely helps. I think last time I did it, I lost like 20-something pounds, and I was actually in better shape then, so I assume I'm going to lose more this time if I'm being honest, because once we had Teddy, I really stopped going to the gym, and you just don't have time, so we're on that. We started that again. It's day 3. It sucks. I'm having cravings like crazy. Like I want a taco in the worst way. I want Mexican food so fucking bad, and I can't have anything. So just
I had grilled chicken with rice tonight from Panda Express. It wasn't like homemade, but I mean, I just love chicken. Just try to eat chicken and rice.
No, I miss chicken. I had to make chicken for Teddy, and I'm just looking at it. I was marinating it in Italian dressing. I'm cooking up these tenderloins, and I'm like, God damn, those look juicy, but I can't eat it. So, so that's life right now. Just doing this cleanse, trying to lose some weight. Spoiler alert, we're currently planning a trip to Disney this year. We want to take Teddy.
Saw that post.
We have been talking about this for a while now, but we're going to go for it this fall. We want to be there for Halloween. So I'm getting quotes currently from multiple travel agents. I already looked up on my own to plan the trip through Costco's traveling organization because it's actually relatively cheap. I think all things considered, we'd be there for a week. We'd go to the park for 4 out of the 7 days we're down in Florida because we'd want a couple break days in between. And we would, it includes flight, transportation from the hotel, your hotel at the Coronado Resort in Disney. It's more. It's not really a kids hotel, but it's the cheapest option that Costco had, and I think total would be like $4,300, which really isn't that bad for two people going to Disney for a week. Covers everything but food, so not terrible. But yeah, so I'm working with multiple travel agents right now, and we're trying to get that figured out. One of the travel agents actually just messaged me and said that there's a deal starting tomorrow where if you book a trip within the next however many weeks or whatever, you get a free dinner, free dining package for your trip. It's like an $800 value between the two people, and that's included. So that's huge right there. You get a free meal a day, and you get each person gets a souvenir cup, and you get free refills throughout the park. So saves you a shitload of money right there. Kind of sucks because we're not pop drinkers. So you
refills on what exactly?
Yeah, literally, me and Tara don't drink anything but water. So I mean, whatever. I don't care. I'll take it. It's part of the deal. It's saving me $800. I'm not going to be mad about it.
You're gonna do the tour, World of Beer tour in Epcot. Is that what you're gonna go for?
100%. I want to drink. When I went last time, I tried to drink in as many countries as I could. I drank in Japan, Mexico, Canada, United States, Germany. I think a couple other ones I forgot where. Switzerland. Like I drank in a ton of them, but yeah, I plan on hitting them all up because
they have that shirt that like you can check them off as you go or whatever.
Oh, absolutely. They have full checklists, and I plan on doing it because when I was there last time, we were only there for like a half a day, not even. So it was hard to hit every place. But we're not getting hopper passes, so we're getting tickets where you're only allowed in one park a day. So we would be going to Epcot like first thing in the morning and probably try to be there like all day. Like you're allowed to leave and come back, but I would try to be there as long as possible and drink as much as possible is my goal because I'm making sure we're staying on the resort. I told one of the travel agents that my goal is to stay at one of the resorts that have the Skyliner, and there's a Skyliner that goes directly to Epcot. So you go out the back way, take your Skyliner, it'll drop you right off at your hotel. When I went, we stayed at the Riviera, and that's right on the Skyliner route. So we'd go Skyliner to Epcot, get all drunk, go right back to the suite, and we were watching the draft. So it was a great time. But yeah, we want to take Teddy. We want to see what it's like to be at Magic Kingdom on Halloween. And we've heard rumors that literally on midnight, November 1st, they tear down the Halloween decorations and they start putting up Christmas decorations. So if we're there till the 2nd, we're going to get tickets to go to Magic Kingdom on the 31st and the 1st because we want to try to see both sets of decorations if possible. So that's our goal. That's our plan. And we're going from there.
I think we're planning this year. We'll be in Vegas for Halloween this year.
Oh, nice. That'll be cool. I'm guessing it gets pretty fucking wild out there.
Well, our golf trip got bumped up to like the 3rd of November. So like if we fly in early, we can.
You get there a couple days early. I think the 3rd's a Monday, so that's not bad. You get there. Shit, Halloween's a Friday night. Damn.
Yeah, I want to come in and stay on the Strip if possible. So it'd be kind of cool to come down for a day early, do Friday Halloween, and then be there for golf and leave maybe Wednesday the following week or something like that. See how it works out. But well, still a lot of time between now and then. We'll see what happens.
Some news that we do have, something we're going to try to do that I think is kind of cool, kind of a passion project for me, if you will. Something I've always enjoyed. I don't understand video game streamers. Like I don't understand people that watch streamers that just play video games. For me, I can look at it for like a couple minutes and then I'm kind of like, all right, I'd rather just play myself. And then I watch other people like that. I don't even know how to say his name, Kai Cenat or something like that. I don't know. He's a guy who I guess like streams his life 24/7. I find that to be crazy and bananas. But if you have like a cool event that you want to talk about with people, I feel like it's a cool way to do it because you don't have to try to get together in person. I've always liked the idea of the show Mystery Science Theater and the show, one of my favorite shows, The Last Drive-In with Joe Bob Briggs. I know I've talked about it in the show before. It's on Shudder, but Joe Bob Briggs has been around for 40 years. He used to do Monster Vision on TNT. For those of you that remember that back in the day, it would be late on Saturday night. They would play a super cheesy horror movie, and every 20 minutes or so in the movie, they would take a break. They would come back. They would talk to Joe Bob. He would tell you facts. He'd have guests on, et cetera, et cetera. I love that. I don't want to get that detailed to where I'm like breaking in the movie and shit like that. But what I want to do is have a watch along. So I would be playing a movie, and my goal is to do it through apps that are free so everyone can participate. Because sometimes you could be like, oh, we're going to watch X movie tonight. And then it's like, oh, well, that one's only on Paramount Plus. I don't have Paramount Plus. I can't watch it. Or it's only on HBO Max or whatever the fuck. So my goal is to make it, I was deciding between names. I really didn't know what I wanted to call the show until the last minute yesterday. I text George and I was like, hey, throw this up on the marquee. I want to see what it looks like. And right away, George was like, that's it. That's the pick. What the Flick is the name I decided to come up with. I was going to call it like Free Movie Friday or something like that. And I was like, no, that's not really me. Like, I need a joke in there. Sorry, Kyle, I got cut off here. I didn't know George was going to go to the full thing. I thought he was just showing the picture. But this is what it's going to look like. And obviously, I'm not playing Halloween because it's not a free movie. But I just wanted that one as the example because it's, you know, one of my favorite movies of all time. But this is what it's going to look like. So we'll have the poster for whatever movie I'm watching that month. I'm probably only going to do this like once a month. I don't want to overdo it. So I think once a month would be cool. I don't even know what day of the week it would be on. It would more than likely be starting at like 8:30 because I got to wait for Teddy to go to bed. But it's called What the Flick. And it's going to be, again, a free movie app, whether it's Tubi, Plex, Freevee, whatever. I'm going to go through and just kind of pick weird movies, fun movies. It's not always going to be horror. I know not everybody's into that. I want to watch comedies. I want to watch action movies. I'll watch some cheesy horrors. I'll watch some serious horrors. I'll watch everything. But I just want to pick random movies. I love watching movies. I'll watch anything. And I kind of thought this would be a fun thing to do. If I'm going to sit around and watch a movie, why not, you know, watch it with people and have a conversation? And I kind of felt like because I don't want to have to take breaks like they do on The Last Drive-In, where they stop and they take a 20-minute intermission every 20 minutes. With these apps, they have commercials. So if it goes to a commercial break, I'll be live streaming the entire time. So every time it goes to a commercial break, I can just bullshit a little bit. I can read some facts about it. You know, we can talk about what we think of the movie so far. If it's a surprise twist coming, whatever the fuck, just conversation. It's literally just watching a movie with people, having some fun. That's my goal with What the Flick. And it also got me thinking about doing a live stream for the NFL draft. I figured Kyle and I like the draft. I go to it every year. This is unfortunately the first year of my life that I am willingly not going to the draft, and I have nothing else to do. The 1 year I didn't go, obviously COVID canceled it, so I didn't go in 2020. And then in 2023, I didn't go because my friend booked us our trip to Disney, and we went there instead of Kansas City. And this year I have no plans. We were going to go to Green Bay, but literally the hotels were crazy expensive. If you wanted anything even close to Lambeau, it was like $400 a night. And that's not even including getting there. So driving is like fucking 10 hours. It's inconvenient as fuck. So I'd have to fly. So I'd be looking at like a couple $1,000s at least just in travel and lodge besides eating and like living there or like being there for the weekend. And I was like, I'm not that excited about Green Bay. That's not a fun city. Like I've never heard people that are like, yeah, I go to Green Bay for vacation all the time. It's not known for being fun. It's cold there like it is in Cleveland. And I know it's April, but you never know how the weather could be. It could be snowing. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem that interesting to me. So I decided to save my money and I'll wait. And next year it's in Pittsburgh. But this year I'm going to be home. I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm going to watch it from home. I'm going to take Friday off of work. I already have that planned. And I figured while the draft is happening, let's just have a draft show. It's not going to be anything crazy, just literally watching the picks, dissecting the picks, trying to guess who we think is going to get taken. Obviously, the night before on the 23rd, Kyle and I will be doing our live mock draft. We do that every year, as is tradition. But during the draft, let's see how right we got. We can keep a checklist of our picks that we had. Again, I don't do trades in my mocks. I know trades happen all the time, but they're just... you could get really fucking carried away with trading in a mock draft of like, well, I think this team's going to move up to 1 and then this team's going to move back. And it's too much work. I'd rather just go through 1 through 32.
Here we'll actually be able to keep track of if our picks were correct, because there's been years in the past where I'll like text you during a draft like, hey, we got that one or we got that one, right? But your balls deep in the middle of a million people, you really can't get.
Yeah, I think last year my phone died by like the fucking 10th pick. I didn't bring a charger with me. I forgot because I was in such a rush and my phone died. So I was just sitting in Detroit like, I had to send all my information for like the tickets to our friends that were with us because I'm like, hey, my phone's dead. Like if you guys walk out for whatever reason and can't get back in, like I can't get you because my phone's dead. So I had to send them all the shit. I had to send them like we had a driver from the bar we were going to who told us like, hey, just call me when you're done. I'll pick you up whatever time. I had to send them his number because I'm like, my phone's going to die. I can't reach out to this dude. So my phone died. It sucked. But
at least in the first round, get on here and jump on for like an hour or two and go through the first round and kind of like have comments.
That's what I was thinking. I figured, I'll do the whole first round. I'll sit on here because I'm going to watch it all anyway. So obviously you're not, handcuffed to stay the whole time. And then day 2, I might do the second round just because the Browns have the first pick in the second round. So I might do maybe not even the whole second round. Like Kyle said, I might do like an hour in the second round. I'd like to see who the Browns get and kind of recap night 1. I think that would be cool. I don't want to stay up too late doing it on night 1. So it'll be the draft. As soon as pick 32 is over, I'll be done. and then we'll come back on Friday night and we'll get it rolling with the Browns pick again. Talk about some shit, and I just think it'll be cool. We'll just have the draft going. Everyone can chime in. Give me your thoughts on your team, whatever team you root for. Give me your thoughts on their picks. Give me your thoughts on, if there's a surprise pick, there's going to be, something crazy is going to happen. Someone's going to get super overdrafted or someone's going to fall. This shit happens all the time. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be really cool. I think it'll be fun. I kind of did this during COVID. All my buddies that I go to the draft with, we all jumped on a Zoom call and we just talked to each other during the draft. And it was a really fun time. And I've been thinking about that ever since. It's been 5 years. And now that I'm going to be home, I was like, what a perfect opportunity. Let's do it. So,
Agreed. I think it'd be a fun time. Plus, we get people interacting with us, see who's right, who's wrong, and get some, live up to minute opinions on teams and maybe.
Absolutely, I want everyone to send in your mock draft, send in your if you will, and let's see how close people can get. It's all fun. I don't take the draft process that seriously when it comes to picking for other teams because you really don't know what other teams are thinking. You could look at a guy and be like, I think he's a perfect fit, and then they don't take him, or you could look at a guy and be like, that guy would make no sense here. And then they take him. Like last year with Michael Penix. When Michael Penix got taken, everyone was like, what the fuck is Atlanta doing? And then it turns out it was a good decision because Michael Penix looks like a pretty damn good quarterback. So, crazy things like that. And then, the Vikings taking J.J. McCarthy and you're like, wow, that's really early for this dude. And then he's hurt, missed the whole year. So we still don't even know what to make of this guy.
We could also put out invites too. We could also put out invites too for people to jump on and join us here too if they wanted to.
Absolutely, people would be welcome to hop on and talk about a pick. You know how the draft is. There's a ton of time in between the picks. They don't want to rush this thing. They try to make it a 3+ hour event, so it's going to be lots of downtime to talk about shit. So that's the fun part. Obviously, with streaming rights, that's same thing with the What the Flick and same thing with the draft. We can't play it on here because it's copyright infringement, but that's why we'll have it playing in the background and we can have everybody discuss everything on here. So that's the fun, in my opinion. I think it'll be a cool little event. So we're going to do that. And I look forward to it. I'm pretty excited. I'll probably, because it's well over a month away or about a month away, I'll probably do What the Flick first, kind of give that a test drive, see how it goes with the streaming thing and setting up in a different room because I'll be down in my den. And we'll go from there. We'll see how this goes, and we'll try it out. And again, next year I'll be in Pittsburgh. So this probably might be a one and done thing. I'll more than likely be at the draft every other year for the rest of my life. So
what's the next couple of years? Where are they at?
I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it's Pittsburgh next year for sure, and then the year after, I honestly don't remember. I feel like, was it LA? I don't remember, honestly. I just know Pittsburgh next year. That's honestly the only one I can remember. They might not even have it, to be honest. Sometimes they announce it like closer to the draft. They'll be like, oh, officially in 2020, what would that be? 2027, so-and-so is getting the draft. I don't know if they've announced it yet.
Denver in 2027.
Oh, is it official in Denver? Okay, I didn't even hear that.
They say they're still in the running, but they're more than likely to get it.
Okay. So, yeah, they usually wait till the draft to announce who's getting it in 2 years. They're always like only 1 year ahead. Denver would be cool. I'd love to go to Denver. Legal weed. Casa Bonita. I get to go try that for the first time. I would love that. So I definitely make the trip to Denver. So we'll see. But for this year, I am home. I told Green Bay to suck it. I had no interest in spending all that money to not go watch a game at Lambeau Field. That was the craziest thing to me.
Houses right there, right backed up to the stadium or whatever that area is, probably making bank right now. Airbnb,
and that's the problem. Like Airbnbs and hotels were crazy expensive. I even branched out like far away, like an hour away, and it was still extremely expensive. Because that's the thing I've always heard about Green Bay, and you see it in the pictures when you look at Lambeau Field. There are literally houses right next to the stadium. Like your backyard is Lambeau Field. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, clearly they don't have a lot of hotels. It's not a downtown area. It's not meant for this type of thing. So I think the NFL kind of they kind of fucked up on this one. I get it. They're trying to be nice and go to every city, but I don't know. Green Bay just does not seem like the kind of city that can host a draft. So I skipped. I'm not dropping that kind of coin to go to a fucking draft to sit, drive. Again, the only hotels available were an hour away. So I'd have to drive an hour every day to get to the draft, an hour back, spend thousands of dollars. I'm good. Especially with the Disney trip coming up because that is not cheap.
I'm looking at the photo right now of Lambeau. Literally, it's just in the middle of like a block. It's like a high school.
Yeah, there's nothing near it. So the closest hotels, obviously, the NFL is going to block off hotels for their writers and their reporters and their employees because they got to be close. And then you try to throw in all the fans that try to get to it every year, and it's just not convenient. There's no way. That's not a city that's built for that type of tourism. So more power to him. I'm out. I'm not going.
Oh, well.
That's our plan, though. We are going to go live. We're going to do a stream for the draft. I'm going to do a stream of a movie. Again, haven't even picked what movie yet. I was looking through some options. I kind of feel like for my first inaugural episode, it should be a horror movie. But I also don't want to exclude people. Some people find horror movies boring. So I've learned. Multiple friends have told me that. So I am going to maybe try to find a movie that everybody could enjoy. Like maybe I have a hint.
We call that a callback there. Nice.
Yeah, because there are multiple people that told me that. One of the movies I'm thinking about, though, spoiler alert, is Killer Clowns from Outer Space. One of my favorite movies, personally. It is a super cheesy, it's considered horror, but it's goofy. It's a slapstick, like, goofy horror movie, if you will, with clowns. But I love it. It's one of my favorite movies. I watch it a few times a year when I'm bored. I'll just throw it on in the background sometimes. So I'm thinking maybe Killer Clowns, just because I was scrolling through the free apps and it was on there, and I was like, I think that'd be a good one.
When are you going to do that the first time?
I don't know yet. I got to pick a night. I got to talk with Tara and figure out when we're free. And I'd like to do it on a Friday night, but I also feel like Friday night people want to go out. Like, not everybody's home. So I was like, I got to pick a different night of the week. Tuesdays are tough because I'm with Teddy by myself Tuesdays and Thursdays. Obviously, Wednesdays we're busy here. So actually, you know what? Maybe I'll do it on an off Wednesday. Now that I think about it, we're in the off season. I could pick a Wednesday and just do a movie night. That's not a bad idea. I didn't even consider that.
That'd probably work out better. Yeah, that way, you know,
Maybe I'll do that. Maybe
we're not doing anything. So,
yeah, maybe next Wednesday. That could be the tentative plan. So, George, you've been warned. I already told George though. I don't need him to sit there through the whole thing. As long as he can get me set up like he does with this, I can run everything. And there's not going to be slide changes or anything like that. It's literally going to be me sitting there watching a movie and then talking every so often.
How are you gonna stream it though? Like with the movie, there's like a camera at the TV. Is that how you're gonna do it, or?
No. So the movie won't be streamed. I'll just have everybody like set for a specific time. Everyone hit play at the same time. Try to coordinate it as best as possible. I know it's not going to be that easy, but that's my plan. Is just tell everybody, hey, at like 8:01, click fucking play on your TV for this movie, and then we'll all just kind of watch it together, and then go from there. That's the goal initially, because I don't have streaming rights to play the movie itself. I'd get kicked off of everything for copyright infringement. So it'll be tough.
That makes sense.
But I've seen other. This is definitely not an original idea. I've seen other like horror Instagram accounts that I follow. They do this every once in a while. They'll be like, "Hey, movie night on Friday at 8:00. We're starting this movie." They're not playing it for everybody, but they want everyone to like watch along with them. So
I've seen people do like mirrors in the background, like behind you, like.
I've seen that, yeah.
Like
So it's technically
right. It's not technically showing, but it's showing, so like you can follow along that way, which is kind of interesting. But
yeah, which I mean, I might, because we're watching on a free app, so like you could fast forward it to catch up to me or rewind. I can rewind it if you're too far ahead. Like there's ways to get in sync. So that's kind of how I'm at. I'm not going to be blasting it, so it's not going to like be drowning everything out. But like I said, I like watching movies. I figured, fuck it, let's have some fun with it, see how it goes. Could be a one-time deal. Could be something I do all the time. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. So let's plan that tentatively. I would say next Wednesday then maybe would be the good time to try it. But that's just, I'll have to talk with Tara to make sure she didn't work, because sometimes now that we're doing every other week, she's been going in on Wednesdays every once in a while. So I got to make sure she's not working.
I'll have to see from next Wednesday. I think I might be bowling next week. We'll see though. I don't know. I have to see if I'm needed or not, but we'll see.
Yeah. So that's our plans, and that's our news for this week in BS. Other than that, life's pretty boring. I went out for St. Patrick's Day. We went out with some friends to Berea, had some drinks, took Teddy with us, just a couple beers, had some corned beef, went home, nothing crazy.
I worked all day, so
I think I was still a little hungover from my birthday, to be honest. But it was all good. Had a good couple of weeks, pretty much nothing going on. We had a couple of days with some beautiful weather. I got outside, took Teddy out, bought her a new swing. Excuse me. So yeah, nothing crazy. Just living the dad life. That's pretty much it.
And that's okay. And that's perfectly okay.
Yeah, that's all I need. It's nice and easy. It sounds boring, but like, I don't know, time's flying for me, and it's it's fun all the time. With that being said, I messaged the boys today in our group chat, and I said, I'm a little down right now in the Cleveland Browns, and now I'm going to tell you why here. Not that I was over the moon for Russell Wilson, but Russell Wilson was a guy who I literally thought would be a Cleveland Brown. I kind of thought the stars were aligning. It seemed like Pittsburgh said no. They're clearly waiting for Aaron Rodgers. I didn't see Russell Wilson going to the Giants. I kind of thought the Giants stink. Russell Wilson's not a piece that's going to take them over any hump. A team he would fit on would be the Cleveland Browns. The Cleveland Browns clearly have a gaping hole at the quarterback position. Russell Wilson is a veteran. His numbers, if you look back at his numbers, they're actually pretty good. I know there's a lot of people out there that are just shitting on him and saying that he's, washed up and blah, blah, blah. But if you look at if you take the name away, look at the numbers over his last 30 games, I think somebody did a little graph, pretty damn good numbers, better than we've seen here in Cleveland. So I looked at that and I was like, okay, this guy with Stefanski would be pretty good. But then I got a little nervous about a couple stats I didn't really take into consideration. Russell Wilson does not throw the ball over the middle of the field. You could look at any of his passing charts. That ball goes right or left. There is no middle of the field throwing. And that's a key component for their offense with Kevin Stefanski. There's a lot of play action. There's a lot of over the middle. There's a lot of David Njoku kind of shit. That doesn't happen on the outsides. That happens in the middle. Russell Wilson does not throw in the middle. So when I saw that, I was kind of like, maybe we're not getting this guy. But I was holding out hope because, again, we need a quarterback. And last night, he signed with the New York Giants. And the same week, Jameis Winston.
Poor Jameis Winston. Poor guy.
Winston signs 2 days ago, and then next thing you know, Russell Wilson
man. That's I was when I saw Winston getting signed by the Giants, I'm like, this is good for him because Neighbors is about to have a 1,300 yard season with 20 touchdowns. And then Winston's going to have 5,000 passing yards with 45 interceptions, but also
easily
touchdowns. I'm like, this is going to be a good year for the Giants. All they're going to go out there, they're not wishing for anything. Just go in there and sling the ball down the field, right? And then
now they went out and got Wilson, who is no questions asked, especially based on the contract they gave him. The number one.
That's insane to me.
Yeah, they gave him a lot of money, guaranteed quite a bit of money. So he is their starting quarterback. And again, I don't get it for the New York Giants. And I know I'm saying this as the Browns are actually drafting ahead of the Giants, and they lost to the Giants last year. But let's be honest, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Browns fan. The Browns are the better team. If you look at the rosters top to bottom, the Browns are the better team over the Giants. The Browns clearly just needed a good quarterback. Look at what they did in the 2024 season or 2023 season. So the Browns need a good quarterback. So again, we're kind of running out of options. I was looking at it and I'm going, all right, free agency wise, we have Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. That's pretty much it. Those are the only two quarterbacks that are available that are actually starter worthy. Then you have to look at the draft. I'm starting to get concerned that we are taking Shedeur Sanders number 2. I don't have a good feeling about Shedeur Sanders. The crazy thing to me is there are so many draft pundits that I follow, namely Dane Brugler, who's my guy from The Athletic. He's a local Northeast Ohioan. Went on to work for The Athletic, and he is a diehard draft guy. He writes The Beast, he calls it, which is 600 pages of fucking nothing but draft. If you want a full rundown on any player, there's a good chance that dude's going to be in that book from picks 1 through 300, whatever the fuck. He goes deep into everybody. His current top 50 or top 100 prospect list has Shedeur Sanders at 25. He's been very open about it, that he's talked to multiple NFL teams and scouts, and they don't have Shedeur Sanders in the first round. They say he's a second round prospect. But meanwhile, there's a chance the Browns could be taking him number 2 overall.
Are you not buying into the Dak Prescott rumors today that just dropped?
No.
I don't think the Browns are taking any quarterback at sec. I think the Browns are sticking to 2 and taking Carter. I still believe that.
I want that, but I just look at it as you can't go into the season with Kenny Pickett as your starting quarterback because Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry, I think it's safe to say, at least based on how the fans are saying it, obviously there's no external noise, but they are playing. I look at this as they're coaching for their jobs. If they don't win this year, they're out. And if you go into the season with Kenny Pickett as your quarterback, I find it hard to believe you're going to win a lot of games. However, Kenny Pickett won games in Pittsburgh because the defense was really good. Kenny Pickett doesn't turn the ball over, and I'm not trying to talk myself into Kenny Pickett. I'm just being honest. That's what he did in Pittsburgh. He played well enough to win.
Let's go.
And I'm trying to not want Kenny Pickett. I want to throw up in my mouth by saying that out loud. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders. I look at it as we need a quarterback, so who the fuck are they going to take? Are they taking Shedeur Sanders? I see George says he wants Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's an interesting prospect. Jackson Dart also played in a very pass-friendly, wide-open style offense that is nothing like the NFL. Jackson Dart is kind of a one-read guy because guys are so wide open. He's never had to hit a tight window. He needs a lot of grooming. And I don't think that's something the Browns can do. And that's what I was talking with people today on Twitter. I was having some discussions with people, and I actually tweeted at Dane Brugler, and I'm like, Dane, with Wilson going to the Giants, I don't really see any more options for the Cleveland Browns at quarterback. I think Rodgers is almost a lock to go to Pittsburgh. So I'm like, it has to be Sanders, right? Like, we literally don't have a fucking quarterback. And all these people in the comments were like, no, Sanders sucks. You guys are getting Kirk Cousins. And I'm like, I don't know. The Cousins thing doesn't make any sense to me because Atlanta willingly paid him his bonus to not trade or cut him. Why would they now trade him when they already had to give him guaranteed money?
They want that draft pick. They want that value, I think. I think the Browns, here's my long fetched guess, and I'm sure I'm off base with this, but my whole entire mindset is I think the Browns stick to 2, take Carter. They package some sort of 3rd or 4th round pick, send him off to Atlanta for Kirk Cousins and some whatever else they could send with him. And they draft like Will Howard in like the 3rd or 4th or whatever pick they didn't trade away. I think that's very feasible. Now you have a bridge quarterback for the next 2 years, and then you have Will Howard as a potential backup, and you have Kenny Pickett holding the clipboard and the sidelines, and you just lock down your defense. Here's my thing with this, though. Here's why I'm thinking this. Was it all just smoke show when Myles Garrett was asked, hey, do you have an idea who the Browns are going for quarterback? And like he got that shit-eating grin on his face. Like the Browns sold him on something, right? So if they sold him on Wilson, they would have signed him, I think, right? If they sold him on something else, it just hasn't happened yet. I don't think they sold him on Shedeur Sanders coming in as a quarterback. I just don't believe that'd be possible for him to be like, all right, I'll stick around and play. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense to me.
So that's the thing with Kirk Cousins. So I'll talk on that first, and then I'll break down everything you said. Yeah. The Kirk Cousins thing, it's weird because the Browns can't afford him, first off. Like the Atlanta Falcons would have to eat a ton of salary. So it's a weird situation where they're spending so much money to get maybe a 4th round pick? Because if the Browns trade more than a 4th round pick to get Kirk Cousins, that's fucking crazy. The dude looked cooked last year. I was really, a couple weeks ago before he officially stayed in Atlanta, I know I was hyping him up because I did think he's going to be the future Browns quarterback. But I mean, going back and watching it, it's like, okay, I was trying to talk myself into thinking he was only that bad last year because of his Achilles injury from the year before. Could be the case, but otherwise he looked cooked. I'm worried about that, especially now he went from playing in Minnesota, which is a dome. It plays a lot of dome games. They play indoors in Minnesota. They play indoors in Detroit at least once a year. Multiple indoor games, and then he went to Atlanta. Same thing, indoor down there in Atlanta. You're indoors against the Saints. You're nice weather against the Panthers. Nice weather against the Buccaneers. So pretty great situation, and he sucked. So it's like now he's going to come up to fucking Cleveland, Ohio, and play in this weather. And he looked like shit and looked cooked last year. He's supposed to be better. Makes me nervous. And again, I'm looking at it as Stefanski and Barry had their jobs on the line. Is Kirk Cousins a guy you're willing to really stick your neck out for? But how are they going to afford him is the other thing. And again, with Atlanta, it doesn't make any sense because they paid him his guaranteed money. In order to trade him to Cleveland would have to tell Atlanta to eat a bunch of his salary. So Atlanta's just spending a ton of money to get, again, maybe a 4th round pick. I don't know. And I don't think that, personally, I don't think saying Kirk Cousins to Myles Garrett moves to the needle and makes him smirk, in my opinion. A guy who got benched last year because he sucked, being like, hey, he's all ours now. I don't think that's going to get him going. I personally, and I don't love it, I think they did sell him on Shedeur Sanders. I'm really leaning that way because they showed him Shedeur's tape and said, hey, look, this dude's accurate as fuck. Perfect for a Stefanski offense. Doesn't turn the ball over. Perfect for a Stefanski offense. Isn't a scrambling quarterback. Perfect for Stefanski's offense. I hate to say it, but Shedeur Sanders is a pretty good match for Kevin Stefanski. I don't love him. Watching him myself, I don't get a good vibe, and I don't have good feelings about him being a stud in the NFL. But what he did in Colorado is exactly what Stefanski wants. He's accurate. He makes smart decisions. He can take a hit. He's pretty big. He'd obviously put on some more weight in the NFL. And I'm not trying to talk anybody into it because I don't love the idea of it myself, but I'm just thinking our options are pretty slim at this point. It's either Shedeur Sanders or Kirk Cousins, and that's pretty fucking bad, in my opinion, for an organization that's trying to maintain this regime and to not fire people and to have some stability. And you sold Myles Garrett. I think everything Myles Garrett said after he signed that contract was complete horseshit. And that was just a dude who had to tuck his tail between his legs and pretend there was a reason why he stayed other than because he knew he was fucked. He had no choice but to stay. So I think all the bullshit he came out with of, oh yeah, they told me a plan. I know who they're going after, blah, blah, blah. I don't believe any of it. I feel like they basically sat him down and said, listen, motherfucker, you either play for your current deal, you sit out and you pay us, or you take a new deal and you're playing here for this amount of money. But either way, you're a Cleveland Brown. That's it. And he was like,
I
fuck,
want to
you're right.
know where the Dak rumors came today. I mean, they came out of somewhere today. Where I forget who started that.
It was
Bruce Drennan that
what's his
started
name? Bruce Drennan. Yeah, Bruce Drennan randomly pops on. Here's a guy who I'm a Cleveland fan. I've been a Cleveland fan, sports fan my entire life. I know about Bruce Drennan. He used to have a radio show here locally. He was actually pretty entertaining. That dude's never broken a story in my lifetime that I've ever heard of. All of a sudden, he has the biggest Browns blockbuster trade rumor of all time. I don't think so. And for what it's worth, it has already been debunked. Multiple reporters have come out and said there have been no discussions of the Browns and the Cowboys trading for Dak Prescott. Nothing. Yeah. So I'm not buying it. I think Bruce Drennan just came on, and we live in a world of engagement.
That trade, he just signed a $240 million deal, or $200.
I've talked about him on here before. Jack Duffin on Twitter. He broke it down. He basically did explain there's a way the Browns could afford Dak Prescott, and it would just be you trade him and he has to renegotiate a new contract, and you do what you kind of did with Deshaun Watson. You kick the years back, you spread the money out further, and if he did that, the Browns could easily afford him. So he broke it all down. I think it's going to happen?
Cleveland, then I'm starting to believe it again. Now here we go.
It's doable.
Well, let me ask you a question then. So let's just play the devil's advocate. So the Browns do trade for Dak Prescott. Let's make that trade. Are you a fan of that pick? Are you a fan of that quarterback? And our
depends on what they give up for him. Truthfully, if they give up anything more than a second round pick, I don't like. If they give up the number 2 pick for Dak Prescott, I might jump off a fucking cliff. Dak has a full no trade clause too. Yeah, but I mean, players can waive no trade clauses. Sports Illustrated debunked it. Yeah, like I said, George, I already saw it was debunked. It was from Bruce Drennan, who has never broken a fucking story in my life. So I think it was complete bullshit. I think it was an engagement bait post. I think because the hot topic is quarterbacks in Cleveland, he had to throw something out there. Personally, it doesn't make any sense for me for the Cowboys to trade him. The Cowboys lost Cooper Rush in the offseason. They let him sign with Baltimore. They don't have a backup quarterback. Trey Lance is linked to Canadian football teams, honest to God. I'm not even trying to be funny. He literally is on a list of a team to get a tryout for a Canadian football team.
Maybe they trade a first round pick Dak, and they go and the Cowboys go for Sanders at number 2.
I mean, that would make the most sense. If we traded the number 2 pick, they take Shedeur Sanders. They fucking end up hiring Deion Sanders in a couple of years. I don't think it's going to happen, though. I really don't think. And if they traded the number 2 pick for Dak Prescott, I'd be fucking pissed.
There's some smoke to that fire. We'll see what happens, though.
I don't buy anything fucking Bruce Drennan says. That dude was a degenerate gambler years and years ago. That's why he had a show called All Bets Are Off, because he was known for being kind of a degenerate.
He's taking a chance here. He's putting his money on the line right now, rolling the dice.
No offense to them. They have a great organization with some good talent on their stations, if you will, but I'm not really going to big play for breaking news. If you want them to break down something, that's where you could go for big play sports, because that's where Bruce Drennan works now. But I'm not buying it at all. So again, options for the Browns right now. And the funny thing, I was joking with my buddy yesterday, and I was like, if the Browns somehow sign Aaron Rodgers, that'd be pretty fucking funny, because Pittsburgh would be absolutely fucked. Pittsburgh has a 21st overall pick.
So I was talking to someone else about this too yesterday. I'm like, he hasn't signed with Pittsburgh yet, and I just don't know what he's waiting for. Like, if the path to Minnesota is closed, which they've come out multiple times and said no, we're good with their quarterback situation. The Giants signed someone. You're not going back to the Jets. Your only path right now is either the Steelers. Well, 3 paths: Steelers, Browns, or you're retiring, right? That's really the path.
Or technically 4. I'll throw in a 4th there. He could go be a backup to somebody. He could go be, Mac Jones just signed with the Niners, so he's not going to. The rumor was he would go to the Bay Area to be the backup in San Francisco because of his relationship with him knowing Shanahan and being from the West Coast. But they signed Mac Jones, so that's dead in the water. But
I feel like there's a reason why he has not signed with Pittsburgh yet. Maybe the Browns are a player in the field right now. Maybe that's someone the Browns could go get for cheap-ish and get him for a year. They draft a quarterback late in the second or third round, and you draft Carter at number 2, and now you have a bridge quarterback for a year.
He's another dude who obviously gets a bad rep because the Jets were garbage. He tore his Achilles 2 years ago, and then he had a shit year. Well, the team had a shit year in New York, but if you look at his numbers last year in New York, again, same thing with Wilson. Not that bad. I'm not trying to talk people into Aaron Rodgers. I do think he's a headache. I'm with George there.
Sure. But I mean, he could with a.
But he's a wild card because again, the Browns don't have many options at starting quarterback, and if you're trying to sell this city on Kenny Pickett, whew, good luck. So I don't know what the fuck the Browns are doing. That's why this episode is called The Plan, because I have no fucking idea what the plan is going to be.
This is the most silent and most in the dark I've been as a Browns fan going into a draft.
It is. I had no idea. Like usually you go into a draft and you have some big important positions filled, or there's a lock of a player at number 2 where you're like, okay, we need a quarterback. This dude's clearly the best quarterback that's going to be there at number 2. No brainer. That's who you're taking. Shedeur Sanders is, again, he's a guy who I've seen mock drafts, and this was another Dane Brugler tweet or comment or whatever. He said Shedeur Sanders is the kind of guy that could either go top 5 or he might fall out of the first round. There's no middle ground. Like, who knows what's going to happen with this dude? That's scary. But there have been quarterbacks that I looked at it and I was like, fuck, this guy got overdrafted, and they ended up being really good. I'm the first to admit I have egg on my face. I was not a huge Jaden Daniels fan. I really didn't think Jaden Daniels' game would translate that well in the NFL. He had a great rookie year. Will it keep going? Who knows? Time to be determined. But great rookie year. Looked really good. I personally I'm not a huge fan of Caleb Williams, who was the number 1 overall pick and the consensus number 1 overall pick. Chicago had no interest in anybody else but Caleb Williams. He was okay. He was fine. Definitely room for improvement, but also kind of strikes me as the kind of guy that could bust out. But they're doing everything they can with him under a rookie contract. They loaded up that offensive line. Last year, they loaded up the wide receivers room for him. So they're doing whatever they can to make Caleb Williams comfortable. And that's kind of what you have to do around your franchise quarterback. The Browns are sitting there at number 2. The only available quote-unquote potential franchise quarterback is Shedeur Sanders, in my opinion. Jackson Dart is a good prospect. Jackson Dart has no business being the number 2 overall pick. He's a dude who, truthfully, a month ago before the combine, I was telling everybody, probably a second-round pick. But now the hype train has started, and he's currently, I've heard, possibly top 10. I don't agree with it, but we'll see what happens on draft night. But yeah, for right now, I have no fucking idea what the Browns are going to do at quarterback. And I was looking at, I was doing some mock draft, or not mock draft, but like some scouting work today, if you will. And I was looking up players and looking up Browns team needs and things like that. And I'm like, dude, we have a lot of fucking holes to fill. We need a free safety. I think we're going to need cornerback help because you have Greg Newsome, who is on his final year of his 5-year rookie contract. I think he's a trade asset right now. The rumors are they're looking to trade either Greg Newsome in a draft pick to the Niners for Brandon Ayuk, or Wyatt Teller in a draft pick for Brandon Ayuk from the Niners. So that would fill the wide receiver position because there's another hole on the team. Wide receiver. We have fucking nothing behind Jerry Jeudy, pretty much. We need some offensive line depth. We could use a backup tight end. We could use a running back. We need a quarterback. We need defensive line depth. We need linebackers because who knows if JOK is ever going to play again. And we need at least one safety. So the Browns have a lot of draft picks. But, what are the odds you're going to find a dude in like the 5th, 6th, 7th round that's actually going to make a fucking impact on your team? Very slim.
Yeah. This is a very
interesting draft
right now. My confidence level has never been this low. Well, actually, it's been this low, but it hasn't been this low in a very long time.
For me, I kind of feel like I'm being walked to the gas chamber in Auschwitz. I know that's a harsh comparison, but I kind of feel like we're going to just have a very lackluster offseason, which it's shaping up to be that way. And then that's going to result in a very lackluster season. And that lackluster season will mean everyone's getting fired and we are starting over. And that's just, in my head, I'm like, cool, here we go again. Another fucking wasted year. The silence could be a good thing. I will say Andrew Berry for the last few years, though, he does come out of nowhere with a trade. And you're like, oh, shit. He got 2 years ago Zadarius Smith for nothing. Last year, we got Jerry Jeudy for nothing. 3 years ago, Amari Cooper for nothing. And these guys all panned out to be pretty damn good players who we got great value out of. So maybe something's brewing. We do have a lot of draft picks and assets to trade, and it's kind of unlike the Browns to not make a lot of moves. But we'll see what happens. I don't understand the Brandon Ayuk thing personally. He's coming off a torn ACL, so he's probably not even going to be ready for the start of the season. So that's an interesting trade to go after a dude who just signed a mega contract in San Francisco last year, got hurt immediately, and probably won't be ready to play week 1. I don't really understand that, in my opinion.
Of course, but it's whatever. But it's not like something.
If there's one thing Andrew Berry's really good at, he's proven he misses a lot of draft picks. But if there's one thing he's good at, it's trading for a wide receiver. I'll give him that.
Yeah, very true. Very, very true. But I don't know, man. I'm nervous. I will say
I am too. That's why I'm so fucking. I'm really down right now on the Browns. I'm like, all I can think about is what the fuck are they doing? Like, as soon as we traded for Kenny Pickett, of course, you had Steelers fans, Dave and Chipper and those guys going, "Oh, Kenny Pickett's your starter," and I'm like, "The fuck he is. We're gonna sign a veteran. We're gonna draft a rookie. No questions asked." We are. The draft is less than a month away, and I'm like, I'm really getting worried.
Oh man, no, it's what, whatever. We'll roll with whoever's behind center. I won't be happy about it, but we'll roll with it and see what happens.
I've always said that I am not a huge Sanders fan, but if he is a Cleveland Brown, I will be his biggest fan. I'm a Cleveland Browns fan through and through. Doesn't matter who's on the team. I support the team.
It's going to be tough, but I will support them as well.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm very nervous. Very fucking nervous, truthfully. So yeah, that was my intro to the show. I obviously wanted to start off with the Browns talk and talk about what the fuck are they going to do at quarterback. If anybody in the comments has any thoughts or ideas, let's hear them. What's that? I'm sorry.
There's some good things the Browns have done. They've signed some good, decent people in the offseason so far. Not big names, but kind of hole stuffers, I think. Some fill-ins here. I know you're probably going to lead in talking about that next, but I mean, they've done some small things that make sense at least.
No, I like the moves they made. The Browns have always been this way. They are not huge spenders, and that's the thing I try to tell people. And I know it's redundant or not redundant, but it sounds it's kind of like it sounds stupid to say, but you go, good teams tend to not spend a lot of money in early free agency. And I know the Browns are drafting number 2, so I know that's kind of stupid to say that consider the Browns a good team, but I'm being sincere when I say that good teams tend to not spend a ton of money in free agency. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. And I know a lot of it is because those good teams have good quarterbacks and their money's tied up, so they don't have a lot of money to spend. But I'm just saying in general, the better teams in the league don't go crazy in free agency. And I know this as a Browns fan from experience. Many years ago, we used to have the Browns would always be the biggest day one people. We went after Gary Baxter. We got LaCharles Bentley. We signed Paul Kruger to the huge fucking deal. The top free agent targets, they all came to Cleveland and they all sucked. No offense to LaCharles Bentley. I know he got hurt. He could have been good, but he got hurt. But they never panned out. So I look at it as it's a good thing the Browns aren't going crazy in free agency. Most of the time, those deals never work out. To be honest, besides Saquon Barkley last year, when's really the last big free agency signing that you're like, shit, that dude turned that team around? Doesn't happen often.
Derrick Henry did pretty well going to
Derrick Henry. I think did he get released by the Titans, or they kind of like told him like, hey, we're just not keeping you. Like,
yeah, I think they say we're just not keeping you. So like,
they did him a favor because they knew they were going to suck. So that was just them like looking out for him to be like, hey, go play somewhere better. Right, and I feel like the Giants did the same thing with Barkley. The Giants were like, listen, we suck. We don't want to pay you. Go run free.
Now, when you saw that video when the owner's like, we cannot give up Barkley for whatever, and then they just get rid of him. Like they're not gonna, he's not going to get signed anywhere else. We're fine.
And that's why I can't believe they're fucking all still employed in New York. To be honest, when they didn't fire everybody, that was like, what the hell? And their jobs are resting on Russell Wilson and Jameis Winston.
On Hard Knocks, like all that entire recording was on Hard Knocks. It's great. It's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's nuts. But like, for the Browns' perspective, they got Tevin Jenkins, who is a big offensive guard, who's a bulldozer.
I like that signing.
It's a really good signing, and they got Jerome Baker, the hometown kid. He went to Glenville. He was a Glenville Tar Blood, and he went to Ohio State, and he is now a Cleveland Brown linebacker. They signed him to, I think, a 2-year deal. And then, yeah, Tevin Jenkins, they signed, who's a guard, and everyone goes, he's too good to be depth. This is where everyone's speculating that Wyatt Teller is getting traded because Jenkins is likely going to come in and be a starter. However, if he is depth, that's great depth. I'm not mad about that at all.
I think we've had issues with the last 2 years is what we get injuries in our offensive line and we have no one to backfill it. So
I forgot his name, but we talked about it last week because it had already happened, but we signed that swing tackle from San Francisco. What is the name? Like Cornelius something. I can't remember his name. He's a good swing tackle. We obviously have a couple guys on the roster. We've got the rookie or not rookie, but the kid from Michigan that they drafted a year or two ago. I forgot his name, who was hurt. But they have some depth. They've got some depth on the offensive line there.
Cornelius Lucas is what we
Cornelius Lucas, that's it. And then, a couple years ago, they drafted the kid from Michigan, the offensive lineman who was hurt. I can't remember his name. But so they have a little bit of depth. I think Nick Harris is still a free agent. The funny thing I looked at for the Cleveland Browns is a majority of their guys that are free agents are still free agents. So Nick Chubb hasn't signed with anybody. Maybe he comes back to Cleveland, maybe not. We'll see. Elijah Moore, still a free agent. No one's touched him. Jedrick Wills, I haven't even seen Jedrick Wills' name attached to a single team. So I have no fucking idea what's going on with that dude.
Where do you think Chubb goes? What's your guess?
I think he goes to a up-and-coming team. And one of the teams I've seen linked, for what it's worth, it's a random Twitter account, but I've seen it posted multiple times from other random Twitter accounts. So I don't know the validity of it. But I've seen the Chicago Bears. I've seen the Chicago Bears as a possible destination for Nick Chubb. I've heard that they are very interested. So I kind of feel like he's waiting out to see if the Browns are going to bring him back. And he's trying to not sign with anybody else because he wants to stay in Cleveland, but the Browns aren't really doing it for him. Maybe. I don't know. I'd like to see him in Cleveland because of the history, but at the same time, I understand. I watched him last year. He's coming off back-to-back season-ending injuries. One of them was gruesome. He was not the same player when he came back, and I don't really. I don't understand it.
How's his offseason been? Do you think, has he been working out pretty hard?
I haven't really seen anything. I don't know what he can really do because he had a broken foot. I don't know if he's doing much. Usually you see a couple videos of him working out. Maybe he's not doing that because he's not under contract, so he's being smart and not like overdoing it. But he's never been a spotlight type of dude. But I don't know. I haven't seen much.
Yeah, I don't know. I would like him back in Cleveland, but I mean, right now our starting running back is Ford, right? That's our starting running back right now.
Yeah, Jerome Ford. That's it. He's the only guy on our roster. Deontay Foreman's a free agent. They released Naheem Hines, and Nick Chubb's a free agent. So they have literally Jerome Ford as their running back.
All the confidence right now in the world I'm having right now.
Again, this is why I'm really like Nick Chubb does not move the needle for me for the Browns. If you think the Browns are going to be like a 4-win team next year,
Nick Chubb does not move the needle for us, and this was 2
it's a
years
shame.
ago.
That's the NFL stands for not for long, and an injury like that happens, and your career's done. It's unfortunate, but in the blink of an eye, your life has changed.
I feel so bad for Mike, having all those Nick Chubb cards in the basement, the Nick Chubb jersey, everything.
I feel bad. I mean, don't get me wrong, I understand what you mean, but like I feel bad for Nick Chubb. Like that dude is such a good guy, and now it's just there's nothing you can do. Injuries are freak things, and he's done. In my opinion, I don't think he's anything like he used to be. Sure, he could go be a Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt had stats that Browns fans like to try to rub in everyone's faces when he played with the Chiefs, but he was not a game-changing running back by any stretch of the imagination. Had he signed with any other team, he would not have been as productive as he was with Kansas City.
Right.
So I don't know really what to think of Nick Chubb, but if he comes back, sure, great. But again, it doesn't really do much for me.
Big name free agents for running backs out there right now.
Nick Chubb, I think Ezekiel Elliott's still technically a free agent, and that shows you how bad the class is. Honestly, I can't really think of many. Najee Harris was probably the top running back he signed with the Chargers. Nick Chubb's a free agent. I can't think of anybody else at the top of my head.
Perine went back somewhere, I believe.
Yeah, Kenneth Gainwell, I think, signed with Pittsburgh.
Never mind, it's a new team. Still new team. Never mind, those are signings. My bad.
Carolina signed a running back that was pretty decent. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. But really nothing great. I mean, running backs are a dime a dozen. Teams don't really overpay for running backs because they realize, unfortunately, what happened to Nick Chubb could happen to anybody.
Wow. Sucks. Very much sucks.
Yeah, it's a tough sledding right now for the Browns. I really don't know what to make of their offseason and what their plan is for the future. Truthfully, I have no fucking idea, and it's scary. Other teams are adding players, though. You had late last night, Stephon Diggs signs a crazy contract to go to New England.
Did I text you? Did you text me? But either way, that's
you texted me right away. I think you saw it first.
It's so stupid.
Dude, I don't understand the signing. He's getting old. He's clearly a little bit of a head case. He is coming off a torn ACL, and they gave him like fucking $25 million a year or whatever the fuck he got. Like a $60 million deal.
Sorry, back to the running back thing. So like Jamal Williams, Gus Edwards, Jeff Wilson.
I think
Dobbins is someone I heard.
Dobbins is still a free agent. I saw him linked to the Browns a couple times, but I don't know if there's any other than Twitter. Like I don't know if there's any validity to it.
Yeah, but like Jamal Williams is a bad signing, but that'd be pretty penny though. I mean, he'd be worth some money,
Who is it?
Jamal Williams.
Yeah, I mean, he's old. He's getting older. He's a guy who
29. Yeah.
For a running back, that's ancient. Like
he's the same age as Nick Chubb. Yeah,
And there's a reason the Browns. I mean, Jamal Williams doesn't have the injury history that Nick Chubb has, but still, like.
I would be cool with Dobbins, I'll be honest. I'd be cool with Dobbins. Dobbins would add some.
I'd take Dobbins in a heartbeat. I would also I would still want to draft somebody not necessarily super early, but I'm not loving my running back room of Dobbins, Ford, and if that's it, you would need a pretty decent third. Yeah. So we'll see what the Browns do. But again, they have a lot of holes to fill. There's still some names out there in free agency, and we'll see what happens. I don't know. The rest of the NFL, though, as I said, they're making moves. Stephon Diggs gets a solid contract with the Patriots for whatever reason. Makes no sense to me. I know they're trying to get Drake May, his quarterback or wide receiver number one. And you took a dude who, again, is Stephon Diggs is 30 years old, maybe older. He's been in the league forever, it feels like.
Yeah. Well, how much did they sign him for? 69 million, 3 years, 69
million. Yeah, basically he's making like 25 million a year almost.
Why would you not want to stay in Houston? I'm so lost by that. Like, I mean, Houston has a good team.
I don't think Houston offered him a new contract. I think they were letting him walk because, again, he's older and he's coming off a torn ACL. That's something where you're kind of like, you're never going to be the same after that. Everyone saw what happened to Odell Beckham, and unfortunately, I think the same is going to be for Stephon Diggs. He was fun to watch with Josh Allen, but I think that ship has sailed in his careers. Yeah, he's 31 years old, and he's coming off a torn ACL, and they gave him 3 years, $69 million. Craziness.
I mean, that's going to be a last contract for him probably, but hey, get that money while you can.
You have a rookie quarterback on a rookie now year 2 quarterback, but you have him on his rookie deal. This is where you can spend that money because fuck it. If it doesn't pan out by the time he's off your team and his salary cap is not his cap hit is not affecting your salary cap, you still haven't had to pay Drake May.
So Washington's doing right now. Washington's going to load up on some free.
They're like, give me Deebo Samuel, give me everybody we can fucking get here because we have Jaden Daniels who is making in the grand scheme of things to what he'll make in 5 years, assuming he can continues on this trajectory. He's making peanuts. So you load up your team. Houston tried to do it last year with CJ Stroud. They were like, give me Stephon Diggs, bring in all these guys on defense, bring in all this shit. And they realize now they're going into year 3. It's time to start talking contract extension with CJ Stroud. So they're starting to kind of think outside the box. They traded away Laramie Tunsil. They let Stephon Diggs go. They're making some moves. They're wheeling and dealing.
I do think the Patriots are going to be in a better position this year than they were last year, just with the head coach now that's in place.
No, absolutely. I think Gerard Mayo was overmatched. He had no business being an NFL head coach. I think he was it was sort of a sense of nepotism where because he was so close with Belichick and so close with Robert Kraft, they gave him the job. Don't think he was actually qualified. He was a DEI hire, if you will. And
that stopped with Trump, my friend. That stopped.
Yeah, as soon as Trump got into office, fucking Robert Kraft was like, "Get out here, bring me a white guy back on my sideline. I'm going back to my massage parlors for a quick tuggy," and he hired Mike Vrabel. So we'll see what happens.
White guys out there, boom,
for sure. And hey, he'll be missed in Cleveland. It was fun while we had him. The Ravens decided to make some acquisitions. As I mentioned earlier, they are now going with the backup quarterback of Cooper Rush, Cooper Rush is a very good backup quarterback, so that's a good move for them. And that sucks as a Browns fan because Lamar Jackson usually gets hurt. So knowing he gets hurt, them having a good backup, I don't love it. They also signed DeAndre Hopkins to a 1-year deal. Unfortunately, I love DeAndre Hopkins. That dude was a great wide receiver with Arizona and with Houston, but he is cooked. He is toast. So I'm not too concerned about that signing
He's still good for
personally.
2-3 catches a game, though. If you have him for
Sure.
reception, he can get you this.
He's just no longer the burner threat that he used to be, and he seems a little easier to defend based on his last year. In our new segment, Douchebag of the Week, this one goes to Juan Thornhill, who signed a deal with the Cleveland Browns, hardly ever played, was always hurt. When he did play last year, there is some super embarrassing tape on the dude of just not trying, being a fucking piece of shit, waste of money. And he decided to make a video where he took a Browns hat, threw it off his head, picked up a Steelers terrible towel, and made a whole fucking production out of it. Like anybody in Cleveland gives a fuck. To be honest, Juan, I know you'll never see this, but we couldn't be happier that you signed with Pittsburgh because we know you suck and that you don't try and that now Pittsburgh they have to deal with you. So we couldn't be happier. You did that as almost like a slight to the Cleveland fans and to the Browns. We don't give a shit. You were a waste. You were at the time, a good signing. I'm not going to knock the signing at the time. He was one of the top free agent people in the class, but it didn't pan out. He is a fucking, apparently he's in it for the money. He comes in, gets a groin injury or a fucking, a pulled hamstring and never plays. So waste of money.
Forth between him and Adam the Bull.
No, I didn't.
Oh my God! Please go after our thing today. Go
On Twitter.
On Twitter, Adam the Bull said something and Thornhill responded, and they went back and forth on a couple things. It was hilarious as shit. Just go back and watch it.
I'm pretty intrigued by that. I'll have to check that out. I personally don't look at Adam the Bull.
That dude is. I haven't seen him in a while, and I saw a photo of him. Man, that dude,
not good, dude.
Ballooned up more than he's ever been before.
Yeah, we're in a weird spot with Cleveland media because, again, you have the Cleveland sports show, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't even know what it's called that he's on. They have, Jason Lloyd. They have random, 92.3 The Fan people, basically, will go on this show. I think Dustin Fox is there now, if I'm not mistaken. But they have all these guys who people really, depends on who you talk to, most people didn't really care for that much while they were on 92.3 The Fan. Now they're all working for this new network, and all they do is try to do engagement bait. I personally hate the engagement bait shit. I hate it. Yeah, I tweeted the other day at somebody on Twitter, and I was like, it was ESPN Cleveland, actually, because Tony Grossi was pretending to be fucking pissed off about something stupid, and I'm just like, man, I miss the old days where GH is a crap in ESPN Cleveland. GH, who's GH? Goldhammer? I'm assuming that's who you mean, George. Yeah, Goldhammer's always been like that. Goldhammer's always played the villain. I've been listening to Rizzo for 15 plus years now.
I don't understand.
I got in with Rizzo pretty cool.
Years. That's a horrible channel to listen to nowadays.
He was fun in the beginning because he was 92.3 didn't exist, so it was literally the only Cleveland sports talk in Cleveland. So I listened to Rizzo. I found out Tara's dad played football with them. They went to Mid-Park together. They were friends. They played on the offensive line. Rizzo was a center, and Tara's dad was a guard. And they played football for years. They grew up together. And whenever I met Rizzo a couple times, and I'd be like, "Hey, at the time I was dating Tara. I'm like, this is Mike Stefansson's daughter," and he was like, "Oh my God, Mike Stefansson!" And then I became known on the show. I was Justin in Parma. I used to email in all the time, and they'd always read my emails. They'd call me and be like, "Hey, we're having a show event at whatever place this weekend. You're welcome to come. We'll have 2 tickets waiting for you." They were really, really nice. I used to get into fights with Browns players and shit. That's how I became tight with the old Brown safety, Mike Adams. When Mike Adams was in Cleveland, the Browns got their asses kicked, and they used to have a weekly segment. And yeah, George, if you've ever heard Justin in Parma, I swear to God, that was me back in the day when they used to have the Chipper would know the shootaz and all that. They called them the bowling people. They always talked about them. I used to be on the show back in the day. I got into a huge back and forth with Mike Adams, talking shit to him, and to the point where the whole episode is basically me and Mike Adams talking shit back and forth because the Browns got their asses kicked. He's on the show and he's talking about how the fans were booing him and he was going to fight the fans. And I tweeted in something like, well, if the fans were holding a football, you would have missed all those punches because you can't hit anybody with a ball in their hand or something like that. I was just running my mouth and talking shit. It was all fun and games. And then A few weeks later, Mike Adams was doing an autograph signing at a Panera Bread that was right down the street from my apartment. So I went up there. As soon as I saw it, I bought a Mike Adams 8x10. I have it hanging up still because I treasure it. And I went up to him and I was like, hey, Mike, did you sign this? And he's like, yeah, sure. And I'm like, I'm Justin in Parma. He was like, what? He like dropped the pen and looked up, and he was cool after that. Like he started following me on Twitter, and we used to talk every once in a while. I haven't talked to him in years, but when he was in Cleveland, he was really cool. But yeah, I was big on the really big show way back in the day, and then once 92.3 The Fan came, I stopped listening, to be honest, and I got back into it recently. But it's just ESPN is only engagement bait. All they want to do is try to get a hot take and overreact about fucking everything. Like recently, 2 days ago or yesterday, the big thing was they were pissed off because none of the Browns, Stefanski, Barry, whatever, no one went down to see Cam Ward at his pro day. So they're freaking out. Why aren't the Browns down there? What the fuck are they doing? Turns out they had a private workout set up with him. So they were like, why would we go down there? He's coming to Cleveland. But then because they had a private workout with him, they were pissed because the Browns didn't go down to the Ohio State pro day. Meanwhile, a bunch of people are tweeting and they're saying like, hey, just so you know, because Stefanski and Barry aren't here, the Browns still have a lot of representatives and scouts down here. So it's not like they're not doing their homework on Ohio State, but fans just say shit like that because they're fucking stupid. But it's all engagement bait. They freak out about everything. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of annoying. I like old school, like just break down a player, break down a game. Don't just sit here and be like, oh, if they sign Russell Wilson, I'm doing this, and everything's like the biggest fucking thing in the world, and it's just kind of, it's overdone, and I'm over it. And Adam the Bull's kind of the same way. That's where I was getting at with that long-winded rant there. But Adam the Bull is similar. Adam the Bull would just say dumb shit to just get a rise out of people and to get people angry at him, and he loved it because he's from New York. He's a Cubs fan and a Bengals fan from New York City who worked in Cleveland.
It's like the chipper of 92.3 The Fan.
Make it make sense. I understand it. I mean, I'll give him credit if he's a fan of the fucking the Bengals. The Bengals suck, especially when he became a fan of them. They've never won a Super Bowl or anything like that. So the fact that he's a fan of them is like, all right, this dude, he'll actually stick up for a shitty team. So he's not a front runner. I'll give him that. But I've never been a fan of Adam the Bull personally, and him being on the show, same thing. I saw him after years of him being a recluse or whatever, and I'm like, whoa, he has packed it on because he used to be.
I remember he went through like a huge like fitness thing for a while where he's like, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to get out there and run. I'm doing the walk 5K, blah, blah, blah. So he lost some weight, and then he
dropped a ton of weight.
I saw him like in a video on that show, and I'm like, he's sitting back in a chair, like, is this he was the entire chair. I'm like, Jesus,
yeah.
Dude.
Not to be mean, but he literally looks like Jabba the Hutt. Like he's literally just like one thick thing. It was rough. That's all I hear when he talks, so that's kind of fitting.
He's got like a chain like slave behind there that feeds him like food.
But it's just chained to a pizza instead of Princess Leia. Speaking of the Cincinnati Bengals have officially put their money where their mouths are, and they have overpaid T. Higgins and Jamar Chase in a move that I don't understand because they proved that they can win without T. Higgins. They are a good team with those guys on the field, don't get me wrong, but T. Higgins misses a lot of time, and when he misses time, they didn't really skip a beat. I feel like that's a wasted position to spend all that money on when you're already paying Joe Burrow a ton of money. Now you're paying Jamar Chase a ton of money. You know
why they did it?
To keep him happy.
Because Burrow came out and said he'd like to see Higgins stay, and he'd do whatever he could to make that happen. And got to make your quarterback happy, so you can't get rid of him.
I always find it really funny when quarterbacks come on and say shit like that, or any player for that matter, when they say they'll do whatever it takes to win. It's like, okay, then sign for league minimum. We can spend that money anywhere else. Tom Brady used to do it. I don't like Tom Brady. You know where my stance is on him. Busted for cheating too many times for me to ever consider him the GOAT, in my opinion. However, he used to take pay cuts to be like, hey, we need to fix the defense. Give me less money. I just want to win. That's a true fucking winner, in my opinion, and you don't see that anymore from anybody. All it takes nowadays is if you're a decent player, you are getting the bag. Daniel Jones, huge money that he didn't deserve. Fucking Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a great quarterback. I'm not knocking that, but huge money. Brock Purdy is going to be getting huge money from the Niners. You have all these record-breaking contracts for quarterbacks, and it's like, do you want to win a championship or do you just want to be the highest paid player ever? That was like Josh Allen said that. he got a new contract and it wasn't quite the most for a quarterback. And they asked him, they're like, oh, why didn't you ask for more? You could have been the highest paid quarterback. And he's like, honestly, in the grand scheme of things, he's like, does a few $1 million really make a difference in my life? This is already life-changing money. Like, I don't need it. But then it's like, you could have taken even less then. And then your team would have more money in the salary cap. Like, it's fucking crazy to me.
There is a line, sir. There is a line.
Agreed. And, that's the shitty thing is that's what happened with Jim Thome is the rumor of Jim Thome was willing to stay in Cleveland with a cheap discount, but the Players Association would have fried him because they were like, you can't do that. It sets a bad precedent. We need to show that players can get paid. We hold the leverage. So he signed with Philly on a huge contract because the Guardians, or at the time the Indians, were like, we can't pay you that much, but we can give you this. And he was like, okay, I'll take it. And his agent and the Players Association were like, no. You're getting as much as you can. That's all we care about. And he left. So it's a shame, but that's just how sports are. It's all about profit for them. And I get it. I'm not knocking it. I'm never going to complain about another man's money. But the fact that players like Joe Burrow, oh, I'd do anything to keep Chase and Higgins. Okay, then take a pay cut. You don't hear that happening, do you?
No. Never.
And now they haven't done it yet, but they told Trey Hendrickson weeks ago that he could seek a trade, and it hasn't happened. But they told him that because they realized we can't afford to pay Burrow, Higgins, Chase, Hendrickson. We can't afford to pay all these guys. So they were like, you got to go. And no dance partners yet, but they're trying. So we'll see what happens in that department. But that's the current news on the Bengals. For me, doesn't really move the needle much again for the Bengals. They've had these guys on their team for the last few years, and it's amounted to not a ton. Yes, they made a Super Bowl appearance. I feel like that was kind of a fluky year, and they came back down to reality pretty quickly with having a very shitty defense. And now with these signings, it's going to impact what they can do in defense for the foreseeable future.
To outscore the other team 93-92 in order to win these games this year.
And that's assuming T. Higgins is going to play about half the season as he usually does. So good luck. And Joe Burrow, too, is another injury-prone dude. Doesn't get talked about a lot, but he is an injury-prone quarterback. So good Godspeed, Cincinnati. Cooper Kupp got released from the Los Angeles Rams, and he decided to go back home. He is from the Pacific Northwest. He played at Washington. He signs with the Seattle Seahawks to play with tiny hand Sam Darnold. And
I don't get it, but okay.
It makes no sense to me. I thought they were going for a full rebuild, and now they're kind of going for like a middle of the pack. Like they're kind of team that could be like a 6 to 8 win team for the next like 3 or 4 years. What does that really do for you as an organization? I don't get it. Personally, doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But Cooper Kupp goes there. This is an interesting move because I kind of thought Cooper Kupp would go to a team to try to win again. He's still a productive player, I think, and he is already a Super Bowl champion with the Los Angeles Rams. So I thought he's going to go to a team that's going to be competitive, and he's going to try to prove that he's not washed up, and he goes home. I get it. It's probably enticing to go to Seattle. They paid him a lot of money, more than he probably would have made had he signed with like the Dallas Cowboys or some of the other teams he was linked to. He was actually heavily rumored to the Patriots, but he ended up signing with the Seahawks. And again, Sam Darnold has had one good year in his entire career, and they are kind of banking on this dude with a 3-year, $100 million deal that it is not a fluke. And now you have Cooper Kupp. Their offensive line is garbage. I don't know what the fuck Seattle's doing. They have no wide receivers other than Cooper Kupp, really. They signed Martavius Valdez-Scantling, who's a bum. I don't know. I don't understand what the fuck the Seahawks are doing. My buddy Craig with the Seahawks fan, though, I love rubbing that in his face and telling him, like, dude, your team fucking sucks. We actually have a $50 bet right now that the Browns will be better than the Seahawks next year, record-wise. And I was happy to take that bet. I'm pretty confident that if the Browns figure out this quarterback situation, they should be better than the Seahawks. So we'll see what happens in that department.
Mike McDonald's their head coach. Okay.
Yeah, Mike McDonald was their rookie head coach last year. He's a defensive-minded dude, former defensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens. But I don't know. The talent in Seattle, in my opinion, on paper, looking at it, is lacking. So we'll see what happens. Let's change gears a little bit. Ladies and germs, we have some news to talk about with the season coming to an end. The Cleveland Cavaliers went to the West Coast, and they lost 3 games in a row, and you would have thought the sky was falling.
Getting tired, bro. Tired.
They're tired. Think about it. Like, I get it. They're pro athletes, but they're still starting a game at what would be in their, internal clock, 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. They're trying to play a game. They're playing it till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. I understand you look at it and go, oh, you're a pro athlete. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. But Kyle, you and I, we both work early. George, you work early. We get up, we go to work. Sometimes we go home. We're really tired. Sometimes on like a Friday night, I'll be like, you know what? I kind of want to go to bed at like 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock because I'm just exhausted. My internal clock is like, hey, dude, we're tired. We got up at 5 o'clock today. Let's go to bed. These basketball players, same thing. Every day, they're in Cleveland for the most part or on the East Coast. So their bodies are kind of like, hey, it's 7 p.m. Let's get ready for the game time. We have our traditions and our rituals. And now you have to stretch everything out. And jet lag's no joke. I've traveled, going from Germany back to Cleveland and vice versa. Jet lag is no joke. Even if it's only a few hours, it's still no joke. If your body starts getting tired because your body goes, hey, it's midnight, we're usually in bed by now. They're now trying to play a basketball game at the highest level of competition. I'm not using that as an excuse. Cavs went into fucking Golden State and won a championship on the West Coast. No excuses. But it's real. Road trips are grueling on a player. You're away from your family. You're away from your home. You're away from your bed, your pets, whatever. After a week or two of doing it, you're probably like, all right, what the fuck? Let's get it over with. But not to make excuses. I think the biggest takeaway from that is I think Donovan Mitchell is not healthy. He missed a few games before that road trip because of an injury, and then he came back. And when he came back, he was terrible. He shot like shit. I think he literally like a couple games scored like one game he scored 7 points. Like he was not good. He had a couple really bad games.
I had him for 15 points that night, and I was like, oh, this is a lot. This is a lot.
I took him for like 2 threes because he hits like 4 threes a night. So I'm like, I'll take him for 2. That's easy money. 0 threes that night. Couldn't hit a fucking the water if he fell out of a boat. And I looked at this again. Like I think he's hurt. We played against Utah, and he didn't have to play much because we blew him out. So he didn't play the entire second half of the third quarter and the entire fourth quarter, never touched the court. And then last night they played against Portland, and he did not play. They claimed it was quote unquote rest. But I personally think he's a little banged up, and I think they need to be, if they're smart, sit him for the next week or so. Who cares? Let him get healthy. We have the playoffs coming up. I'm fine. I don't give a fuck if we have the 1 or the 2 seed. I really don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. Just be healthy. I want health in the playoffs. And I think your best way to do that is by sitting Donovan Mitchell for a week or 2. So we'll see what happens. Maybe he's healthier than he's leading on, but when he came back and shot like pure shit, the only thing I could think of is he's not right. He's not getting the same boost from his legs. His shot's not the same. Clearly he was missing everything. So there was something off. So that was my thought.
We have a deep bench. Let him sit. Let the
exactly
players get some valuable minutes because you might need them as a rotation in the playoffs. So
they started Sam Merrill in his place yesterday just for fun. Sam Merrill got like his 5th career start. They went to Portland. It was a close game until the fourth quarter. Cavs pulled away. Ty Jerome had 25 points off the bench. As you said, this bench is so deep. Let other guys play. Let Mitchell rest. It's not a concern. We're not fighting for like the 4th or 5th seed where we're like, fuck, we can't live without him because if we lose a couple, we're in the 7th seed. Like we're locked in. We're 1 or 2. It's almost a guarantee. Right. I think we can also still win. I'm not concerned about going on like a 5-game losing streak because Donovan Mitchell isn't playing. I think it's all sustainable because they proved last night. They won without Donovan Mitchell. I'm not too concerned about it. I just want him to be healthy. So I feel like that's what they need to do. I'm not freaking out over this 3-game losing streak that they had on the West Coast. They quickly turned it around, and they're back on a 2-game winning streak with the shitty Spurs coming to town tomorrow night. The Spurs are not a very good team. Should be another win. Then you've got the Pistons, who are pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. The Pistons game kind of scares me a little bit. You have the Pistons on Friday night and a back-to-back. So I'm hoping the Spurs game tomorrow night is a blowout. You can rest your guys a little bit into the 3rd and 4th quarter and be pretty good to go on Friday because I think that's going to be a big game. The remaining schedule is pretty easy. You've got the Clippers, you've got the Spurs again, you've got the Knicks twice, you've got the Pacers twice, you've got, pretty decent opponents. But again, nothing I'm too concerned about. So for me, if it were up to me, I think you have the Kings thrown in there too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. Rest Donovan Mitchell. Smartest thing you can do. Make sure your guys are healthy. And I would start doing it kind of like leading up to the playoffs. Give Evan Mobley a couple nights off. Give Jared Allen a couple nights off. Give Garland a couple nights off. Like I want everybody at full strength or as close as possible for the playoffs. The rest of this regular season does not matter.
I think he's smart enough to figure that out. I think he'll start doing that slowly.
I trust Kenny Atkinson, truthfully. So, yeah, we'll see. As I mentioned, tomorrow the Cavaliers are taking on the San Antonio Spurs. And there's another big event happening tomorrow. It is opening day for Major League Baseball. I couldn't be more excited. I love baseball season. It's a glowing season.
In a while, have we? Look at those.
No, it's nice. I haven't seen a nice pair of white balls in some time. Thank you, George, for the white ball plethora.
Clean as they are, very smooth.
It's so
clean.
smooth. Just, I mean, they look like you could just fucking rub them all over your face and
little tickle,
tickle them, feel them. Just beautiful, smooth balls.
Probably
I can't wait. I'm a huge baseball fan. I'm very excited for the season to start. I am a little concerned about the Guardians because I feel like we got a little lucky last year, and we have taken away some key contributors. As we know, Andres Jimenez is no longer with us. He was traded. I said no longer with us like he died. He was traded. Josh Naylor was traded away. He was a guy who put up 30 home runs, 100 RBI. That's tough to replace. You're replacing him with Carlos Santana, who maybe he'll get you 20 home runs. He's averaged 20 home runs pretty much throughout his career, but he's getting older. So we'll see what we get out of him. You have Kyle Manzardo you're really banking on. And then in terms of replacing other players, you're hoping Gabriel Arias is going to be okay at second base. Again, you're replacing a platinum glove winner, not just an average run-of-the-mill defensive second baseman. And then in the outfield, they made a trade this week. They did trade Tyler Freeman to the Colorado Rockies to bring Nolan Jones back to Cleveland, who used to be here a couple years ago till we traded him away to Colorado. I actually bought a Nolan Jones autographed bat when he got called up because I was a big Nolan Jones fan. I thought he was going to have a good career. And then they traded him not that long after, and I was really fucking bummed about it. He has a really cool autograph where he signs his name, and his last name looks like an atom bomb. Like he draws a bomb out of it. It's really cool. So I was like, fuck yeah, I got an autographed baseball bat. And then they traded him, so I didn't display it here at my new house. Now I have to make Tara hang it back up. So he is back in the Cleveland Guardians as a rotational right fielder. I think he'll mostly play against right-handers. I think he'll play a lot, and then you'll have Jhonkensy Noel playing against righties a lot because they traded Tyler Freeman and they sent down Will Brennan to the minors. So they have, and we don't have David Fry. So our right field is a platoon of Jhonkensy Noel and Nolan Jones.
Lane Thomas, Nolan Jones, Jhonkensy Noel, and Quan are your outfielders right now.
Yeah, Lane Thomas is going to be your everyday center fielder, and then Quan's your left fielder. And then you're going to have your platoon in right field for righties and lefties. You're going to have Manzardo DHing. You're going to have Carlos Santana playing first base. Those two will probably switch out every once in a while. I think probably Carlos Santana is the better defensive first baseman, so he'll play more there. Catcher, you're going Bo Naylor. You're going Austin Hedges. Shortstop, Brian Rocchio. And, of course, third base is Jose Ramirez. The Guardians do have one open roster spot that, to my knowledge, as of right now, they have not filled. A lot of people are speculating it's going to be Travis Bazzana, but I don't know if I don't think so. Knowing the Guardians and how cheap they are with prospects, they're going to try to milk him in the minors as much as possible. So I don't see him coming up in year number one, his first full year in the organization. I don't see it happening, but you never know.
What do you think about this roster? Are you happy with it?
It's not a championship contender. It's a fun roster that could have some lightning like it did last year. But if you look at it, the Guardians won so many close games, one-run games. That's the kind of shit that it's same in the NFL. You have a good year, and then your next year, if a couple of those coin flips go the other way, your season's in the toilet. The Kansas City Royals, if they stay healthy, are expected to be one of the better teams in baseball. You got Bobby Witt Jr., who is currently the betting favorite to be the MVP. Obviously, the season hasn't started yet, but he's the betting favorite. You've got the reigning Cy Young winner, Tarek Skubal from the Tigers. The Tigers were a really good team last year. They were not expected to be. They were a very surprising team. And assuming that rolls into it, they're going to be good again. Minnesota, if they're healthy, is a good team. The White Sox are the White Sox. Then you have the Guardians in that mix. So you have really a good 4-team race here in the Central. And I don't love it. I don't love that we traded away all this money and all this talent and didn't really do anything about it. We didn't address it with anything.
I don't see them winning the Central. So
they did extend Tanner Bybee, so they'd used a little bit of that money they saved to extend their own. But it's also like Tanner Bybee's a good pitcher, but I personally don't see him ever being like a Cy Young candidate. He's a good pitcher. He's not great. So that really didn't excite me too much. And again, you saved $100 million with the Jimenez trade, and you saved a lot of money by not having to pay Josh Naylor, who's a very productive player, and they got Carlos Santana, and they got Nolan Jones, and come on, that's what you're fucking spending your money on.
And they cut out FanFest, and
they cut out the fantasy camp. They cut out all this shit for the fans. So they're saving money left and right. They do have some new seats to display when they come to town on the 8th. I like what they did. I don't know if you saw that. They got rid of the dugout suites that you're underground, and they make it look like now it's like Dodger Stadium. Like they now just have low seats. You're right there on the field, but there's no more like separate room. You're not covered anymore. I think those look pretty cool. I'm excited to see that on TV. It's going to be a whole new. That's crazy though if you think about it. We've been watching them playing at Jacobs Field, Progressive Field for the last 20 plus years, and you're used to that green box of behind the umpire with the people sitting down there and like the camera crew and shit like that. That's all gone now. From what I saw, the pictures, they removed it all. So it's going to be really different watching it on TV. If you can watch it on TV, because it is getting down to the midnight hour, and they still do not have a contract yet for any type of television deal right now. The only way you can watch the Guardians is by paying the Guardians $20 a month or $99 for the season to watch their games, which, if I'm being honest, $99 to watch them is not that bad.
For the
To
year,
get every game, it's really not a bad deal if you think about it, because again, $20 a month, the season starts in March and goes till fucking September before the playoffs start. So you're going March, April, May, June, July, September. You're going 6 months. 6 months times 20, you're saving a little bit of money. That's $120 right there. So you're getting a little bit of a discount. $100 to watch the team, not the end of the world. Will I pay that? Depends. I got to see what they do if they come out with a story tomorrow. They are doing a week-long trial of their little channel bullshit. And worst case, I'll do that for the week trial and then weigh my options. I do have plenty of websites that I can stream the games for free. It's just a matter of, am I willing to actually go through with that every night and try to find a stream, or just fucking pay the $100? But we'll see what they end up doing. I have YouTube TV, so if they do come up with a cable channel, if it's only with like Direct TV or something like that, I'm fucked. So we'll see what happens. I really don't think they'll be on YouTube TV. I'm not holding my breath. So I'm banking on not being able to watch many Guardians games this year without paying.
where did you see the pictures of Progressive Fields thing?
I think Daryl Ryder posted it a few days ago or whatever.
Take a look for it here.
Let me see. Progressive. It'd be nice if my phone could spell properly for me. Progressive Field
Oh, I see it.
renovations.
Oh yeah, it looks kind of cool. I like that.
I think it looks really cool. I've always loved that look of Dodger Stadium where you're like sitting a little bit below the field, but there's no coverage like the Guardians had. And I really like the way it looked. So I'm excited to see what that looks like. But yeah, we'll get to see that on the 8th of April. That's how fucking stupid baseball is.
Down for opening day. It's a Tuesday, right?
No, I don't think I'm going to go. It's sold out. I wasn't going to buy tickets anyway, but it's a Tuesday. Tara works on Tuesdays. I don't think she's going to take the day off. I have the baby. So I was like, I'll just stay home. I'll watch the game at home. Not a big deal. I think technically I'll still be doing my fast also. So, or excuse me, my cleanse. So I won't be able to, I can't drink or have fun anyway. Damn it, Tara.
Damn it, Tara.
I keep looking at the calendar and I'm like, when can I enjoy something bad for me? And it's a long ways away. I'm on day 3 of 21, but again, down 6 pounds. So it's working.
What's the last day you'll be on it?
What's up?
What's the last day you'll be on it?
It'll be the, I think the 14th,
Nice.
I believe. Yeah, started the 24th. So 7 days is the 31st. 14th is so the 14th will be the 21st day
Nice.
of April. Oh yeah, when's your birthday thing? It's the 12th. Right?
12th, yeah. So I probably
Shit,
won't see you.
I'll be in the middle of my fucking cleanse. I'm not in the middle. I'll be at the end of it. But god damn it, I just saw that invitation last night. I totally forgot till right now. Yeah, fuck. Deep into my cleanse. I have my cousin's having a birthday party for one of their kids this weekend, and they're like, "Make sure you come hungry, have an appetite." I'm like, I can't fucking eat any of your food. It's gonna be all like pizza and fucking bullshit. I can't have any of it. Oh, this sucks. But what can you do? But with the baseball season starting, worst case, I could still come off your birthday though. I'll just have to drink water. Or I think we were allowed to drink clear tequila. It was the one thing he said you're allowed to drink. So
There you
I don't
go.
know. We'll see what happens.
Mix some tequila with water.
I might have to. If I can mix in like fresh lime juice, I think I could do that too because I hate tequila. So I could do tequila with like lime juice. Maybe that'll work. I'll have to talk to Tara about that after this.
Sounds like a stop by for a quick hello, maybe. Have
I
a
can stick around. It's just going to suck or I can't fucking do anything. I can't take shots. I mean, I could take shots tequila, but again, I hate tequila. So it's a real fucking bad situation for me. But with that being said, we love to do this whenever a new season starts. We like to make our predictions for what we think is going to happen with the awards, with the championships, etc., etc. So we are going to do Major League Baseball. And I was quickly looking earlier, as I said, at the FanDuel betting favorites for MVP and Cy Young and shit like that. What we'll do is we'll kind of give you who we think is going to win and maybe a sleeper pick or two if you're a gambling man out there, because I have a couple sleeper names that I'm kind of interested in for some of the picks. So with that being said, let me pull this list up here really quickly and get to Major League Baseball award futures. And we have off the rip, as I said earlier, your Major League Baseball American League MVP, Bobby Witt Jr. is the current favorite at plus 280, just behind Aaron Judge at plus 300. Then it gets kind of wide. It gets pretty wide after that. I am going to go with, unfortunately, because he is the favorite, I am going with Bobby Witt Jr. as my pick for AL MVP. I think he has really turned into a stud baseball player, and I think now that he's had a full year under his belt, he's only going to get better. And I could really see the Kansas City Royals being a team to deal with for the long haul as a Guardians fan, because Bobby Witt Jr. is not going anywhere. That's a dude that's going to be the face of their franchise for the next decade plus. And I think he is. I also don't want to pick Aaron Judge because I think Aaron Judge is extremely overrated. He's just a big guy that hits home runs. In the field, he's not great. He strikes out a ton, especially in the playoffs. He's kind of a choke artist. Regular season, yeah, he hits home runs. Cool. You know what I mean? I don't know. Doesn't do much for me. So yeah, give me Bobby Witt Jr. I think it would be cool to see a nice, different, change of pace. So somebody that's not on the Yankees or the Red Sox, somebody that's not a big name team organization. I think it'd be cool to see Bobby Witt Jr. win it, even though he's against us. Hopefully, he sucks against the Cleveland Guardians this year. That would be cool.
Yeah, I could see Witt Jr., but my sleeper pick, I think the Orioles are going to be a hell of a team this year. I think Gunnar Henderson's a good chance of taking it too.
Absolutely, the Orioles, if they can. The key thing to get an MVP is they'd have to beat the Yankees, which now without Juan Soto, it's very doable. The Yankees are not as good as they were last year. The Garrett Cole's going to be out for the year. No Juan Soto. Yankees are very beatable this year. So if the Orioles can take the division and Gunnar Henderson is the key behind that, Gunnar Henderson could easily win MVP. Because the Orioles were a really good team last year, but it's just, again, you're playing against the Yankees, and the Yankees were the best team in the American League. So Gunnar Henderson's a very good pick there. I could definitely see that. I don't really have a sleeper pick for this one, to be honest. I would go with I don't even know.
It's not like Gunnar Henderson's a sleeper pick. Yeah, I think he's third overall.
Because everybody behind him, like Corey Seager, I don't think Texas is going to be that good in my opinion. So I'm not banking on a Texas Rangers player. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. could have a great season, but I also know he wants the fuck out of Toronto. And I don't think they're going to be a very good team, A. And B, if he gets traded, who knows where he goes? It could fuck with him a little bit, could hurt his stats. So I'm not touching Vlad Guerrero. So that's it. Yeah, I'm going with, I like Bobby Witt Jr., and I do think Gunnar Henderson's a good sleeper pick for that one. Now we get to the National League, and obviously the betting favorite by a fucking country mile is going to be Shohei Ohtani.
Bearing injury, then just hand it to him now.
Yeah, he's so fucking good. However, I am going with my sleeper pick of Francisco Lindor. Lindor was this close to winning the MVP last year. Had Shohei Ohtani not had his historic 60-60 year or whatever that he did last year, Francisco Lindor was easily going to win MVP. He now has Juan Soto, who's taking a lot of the pressure off of him. So Lindor can just go back to how he used to play baseball, have fun, be free. That's how he played at the end of the year for the Mets, and that really catapulted that team to a next level. Now he has even less pressure because of Juan Soto. I'm not saying he's going to win it, but I do like him right now with FanDuel, plus 2,200 to win MVP for Lindor. The dude who finished second a year ago is now plus 2,200 and pretty far down on that list. So I'm going with Shohei Ohtani because I think he's the best player in baseball by a country mile. But my sleeper pick, who I definitely love the value on, is Francisco Lindor.
So I agree with the Ohtani thing, which would be stupid not to. But my sleeper pick is a guy that I heard for the last 3 hours today in sports talk radio down here was De La Cruz for the fucking Reds.
Ellie De La Cruz. He's really good. He's just not consistent at the plate, in my opinion. It could change.
I don't know how good the Reds are, but with Tito as a coach, anything's possible. I mean, they could have a hell of a good season. He's someone big dude, hell of a swing, a lot of power back there, really fast.
A lot of speed. He's a quick. He can steal bases. He can put up huge numbers.
Sleeper pick for him. I just looked up his odds too. He's at plus 2,000, I think.
He's right ahead of Francisco Lindor. So yeah, he's pretty far down on the list technically, but like also good value to throw a couple bucks on that. Throw some pizza money on that. Next up, we're gonna do Cy Young. Obviously, the easy pick for everybody is going to be Tarek Skubal. Some people are going to pick Garrett Crochet. I like Logan Gilbert from Seattle. I really do. He's plus 1,100 right now, which is great value. And I also think he's a really fucking good pitcher. I think Seattle's pitching staff last year was extremely underrated. They were, I think, the best starting rotation in baseball statistically, like ERA wise and shit like that. They're no joke, and they're now getting another year if they continue on that trajectory and they're even better. I like Logan Gilbert from Seattle. He's going to be my sleeper pick and my pick for Cy Young to start the year. And again, plus 1,100. I love that.
That's a pretty good value there. Yeah, Skubal, wow, plus 350. I honestly am going to go homer pick. Obviously, Skubal, I think, is going to win it if he stays healthy. But Tanner Beebe right there, plus 3,500. I'd throw some money on that. I mean, it could have a good hell of a season this year.
I just don't trust him. I've seen him, like I said it earlier, again, not knocking the dude. I'm happy he's a Guardian. They gave him a new contract, but I just kind of look at it as like he's good, but he's not great. Like when you had Shane Bieber on the bump, you were like automatic win. Corey Kluber, automatic win. You have these fucking amazing pitchers who are going to shut guys down. Tanner Bybee just doesn't do that. Bybee's the kind of guy who goes out there and like he could look like a fucking ace, then the next inning gets smoked. So I don't know. I'm going in with very low expectations on the Guardians from top to bottom, and unfortunately, Bybee is in the crosshairs, so he's not escaping it. National League Cy Young, this one for me, in my opinion, if he stays healthy, it's not even going to be a competition. I think Paul Skeens is running away with the Cy Young in the National League now that he's going to have a full year again, barring injury. But I think Paul Skeens is winning, and I'm not even going to look at a sleeper.
Now, I'm really curious to see how that he has that Yamamoto for the Dodgers, how he does this year. Curious to see what he does in that rotation. And do we know if Shohei is going to pitch this year? Do we know if he's going to pitch yet?
I don't know. I think he is, but I don't know. I know he took last year off because of his injury, so I think he's going to this year. That's kind of why I like the Lindor value, because I feel like Ohtani's numbers could be a little deflated because he's not going to be batting full time.
I don't think that rotation needs him in there, though. That's the thing. That rotation.
You would think not, but I mean, he's the kind of guy who he wants to play both sides and show everybody that he's a multi-talented player, multi-position player. So I think he's just going to keep doing it, in my opinion, because he's already had a bad injury from it. I would be like, you're never pitching again. Sorry, but those days are done.
He could be a hell of a reliever though. One day, take a day off and just come out of the bullpen as like a mid-round, like 7th, 8th.
Yeah, it's the bottom of the ninth, and you're like, fuck, we need somebody. Let's take him out of the outfield and let's just let him pitch.
Yeah, that's a hell of an option to have on a team, though. But no,
absolutely. So
I agree with you.
We'll see what happens in that department. But I am I'm sticking with Paul Skeens for my Cy Young. I just don't really.
He's hitting 10s on the field and off the field. Good for that boy.
Yeah, hey, dude's fucking killing it. And decent mustache, not the worst. Now we do our World Series predictions. I just looked at the time and realized we have 20 minutes left. I have a couple. One other thing I wanted to throw in there, but I don't know if it's going to kill as much time. But I'm also okay with ending the show a little early today because I know you've had a long day, and I still have to shower and I go eat some vegetables.
Eating my dinner afterwards. I started it, but I got to finish it. And no, I'm good with that. But no,
because I feel like
I was going to suggest we do a quick rundown of who we think wins each division, because that's just a quick up and down the field.
Oh, sure. Absolutely. I'm down with that. That'll kill a little bit of extra time, because I was going to tell George, like, just a heads up, we might end a little early, but yeah, we could do that. So yeah, we could do we'll do a full playoff prediction, and then we'll do our championship World Series predictions. We'll start here. Let's just start in the AL Central. We might as well get that out of the way. I hate to do it, but I have to go with the Kansas City Royals winning the division this year. I think, again, if Bobby Witt's going to win MVP, they have to win the division. And I think if he wins the MVP, that means the Royals are a very good team. So give me the Kansas City Royals.
So I went with the Tigers, and I went with the Royals behind them. I don't have the Guardians making, if anything, maybe a wild card position, but I have Tigers at 1, and I got the Kansas City Royals right behind them.
And that's fair. I mean, I want to put in the Tigers as a wild card team. I do think that what they did last year is sustainable, and I think if Tariq Skubal pitches as well as he did, and they're getting out of the young players some of the same numbers they were getting last year to win games, then sky's the limit for them. They were a wild card team last year. I think they could easily do it again. And I think it's going to be, I hate to say it, but I think the battle for the Central is going to be between the Tigers and the Royals, and I'm inching the Royals inch them out just a little bit.
They got the Twins as the favorites right now to win 2025.
Which is crazy. I think the Twins are the favorite every year, and then they just can never stay healthy. They always do some dumb shit. I don't have faith in them. But yeah, I said it earlier. It's a 4-team race in the Central. I could easily see it going, in any order. Guardians in 4th place, whoever's ahead of them. I'm not counting the White Sox. I think they're going to be garbage, but I truly feel like you could see the Guardians in 4th place next year and not a playoff team. And that's just how it's going to go. And it sucks. I hate to admit it, but they really didn't do anything to make themselves better in the offseason. If anything, I think they made themselves worse. And I don't love that. It's upsetting as a Cleveland sports fan. That's why for me, I'm like, fuck you. I'm not going to opening day. I'm not spending money. I really don't even want to go to any games unless I get super cheap tickets just to go there and drink, because the product on the field is another year of like, what the fuck? You guys are so cheap.
You see that pass they have this year now too, which is kind of cool.
Last year, it was pretty cool. That's like, I forgot, $50 a month, and you can go to any game that month, as many games as you want in the month. It's like it's essentially paying.
Especially use that in like June, July, August.
Yeah, you're paying $50 a month basically for a season ticket, because you can go if you want to go. Great. If you don't want to go, no harm, no foul.
Yeah.
So I love it. It's a really good idea.
I told Jess about maybe doing that maybe for like August or something,
and that's a great thing is you don't have to do a full year commitment. You can literally just be like, hey, this month we're pretty free. The Guardians are home a lot. Do you want to buy this package and just go to a bunch of games? It's a really good deal, truthfully. So yeah, we'll see what happens there, but I don't know. I don't have any interest in going to spending a lot of money on this team. It's just frustrating to know that they're not. When you spend money in your favorite sports teams, you're in your back of your mind, you're like, hey, this is going to a good cause. Like they pay money, but the Dolans are so fucking cheap. Every time you spend money there, it's like it hurts you to buy that fucking $12, $15 tall boy to know that like, cool, I just helped one of the Dolans run a political campaign. It's not going onto the field; it's going into their bank account. That's what really pisses me off.
They still do the is it $2 Miller Lights before the game?
Occasionally, they have the I forgot what it's called, the center field district or whatever the fuck they call it. Once the weather gets a little bit better, they do like Friday nights or Saturday nights. Occasionally, they'll do the $2 pregame beers, which I think my record is 8. I had 8 pregame beers. And
get them in while you can get them in. That's $16.
Tara, I'm like, hey, let's find a place that has a very short line. I'll go up and I think you were allowed 2 per person. So I'm like, I'll buy 2, you buy 2, and then I chugged it. Let's go get more. And then for the rest of the game, I think I only had 1 beer because it was nice. I'd knocked it all out in the beginning.
You pay $16 for that, and then you pay $12 for 1 more beer, and overall you just had what? Jesus, 12 beers maybe in total because you probably got a tall boy or whatever. So
Guardians game, not bad at all when you're spending $30 on that. So that's my take on the Central. It's kind of funny. I'm looking on ESPN right now, and they just have them. Everyone's 0-0. You probably can't see my screen, but everyone's 0-0, and the Guardians are highlighted yellow, and they're in 4th place at 0-0.
Makes sense.
We'll move to the East in the American League. As I said earlier, I think I agree with Kyle. I think Baltimore could be a team to watch, and I think the Yankees are not going to be as good because they don't have Soto. They no longer have Joey Votto. They no longer have, I think, Giancarlo Stanton. Eventually, age is going to catch up to this dude. I know he killed it in the playoffs, but I don't think regular season he's going to be very good. Garrett Cole is out for the year. Give me the Baltimore Orioles to finish in 1st place in the American League East.
I had them written down, and I had a hyphen Red Sox. I think it's between the
Red Sox. I can easily see being right up there, 1st or 2nd place. I think the Red Sox are going to be a surprising team this year. They've made some good moves. I did forget the Yankees did sign Paul Goldschmidt for first base, but even then, Paul Goldschmidt was an MVP 5 years ago or something like that. He's never returned to that form when he left St. Louis to go to Arizona.
Right. Yeah, I just think the Yankees. I think the Yankees
went.
will make the wild card, but I don't see them. I don't see them winning a division though.
No. And then we get down to the West, and I am going to go with a little surprise here, but again, I picked Logan Gilbert to win the Cy Young, so that means I think Seattle might be a pretty good team. Give me the Seattle Mariners to win the division. I think Houston will obviously, for some reason, they're always competitive. I could easily see them winning it again. Texas, I don't really know what to make of them. They had that weird fluke season where they won the World Series, and then they went right back to being a non-playoff team and non-factor last year. Fucking crazy. I wish the Guardians could have a little bit of luck like that, but whatever. Give me Seattle. Have a little fun with that one. I'm going with Seattle. And then what are there? 3 wildcard teams, I think?
Yeah.
So give me, I said earlier, Detroit would be one of my wildcard teams. Give me the Boston Red Sox as my second wildcard team, and I will go with the Yankees for my other wildcard team. And that'll round out my American League. And before we get to it, I will say now that I believe representing the American League in the World Series, give me the Baltimore Orioles this year.
I like it.
I like them. I was a big fan.
I had the Orioles written down too. My 2 wildcard teams were the Yankees and the Guardians, I think. Or the 3 wildcard teams, Yankee, Guardians, and I think the Rangers were going to be my 3rd wildcard team.
Okay.
But I have the Athletics winning that division. I'm just kidding here, friends.
Yeah, the Sacramento Athletics.
Could you imagine just putting $1 on it? What's their odds right now? What do you get? Plus 2,700. So
that sounds about right.
Yeah, but no, I think Yankees, Guardians, and Rangers are going to be the wild card. I have Houston winning that division. I think.
Yeah, I absolutely. I could see that.
Yeah. So, but Seattle could be too. Seattle could be a wild card too, and knock one of those teams out. So
no question about it.
A good team.
All right, and now we get to the National League, where we have the National League East, which is always a fucking wild situation. Give me the Mets. I have to do it. Give me the Mets as the division winner. They went out and added Juan Soto. They are putting their money where their mouth is. They kept Pete Alonso. They're bringing everybody back. They were a good team last year. They did lose a little bit in the pitching rotation, but we'll see how that goes. I think their owner, Steve Cohen, is willing to spend as much money as possible, and if they need to make some huge moves for some pitching or whatever they need, he is going to do it. That dude is going to spend every dime he can to get that team a championship, in my opinion. And with that being said, give me them to at least win the National League East. I will take them.
Okay. I like that. I think the East for me is going to be the Braves. I think the solid team all around. I do have 2 wild cards coming out of the East, though. So
we're gonna have the same 3 teams representing in the playoffs. It's just a matter of who's the division winner. Because I'm definitely taking the Phillies and the Braves to be wild card teams.
But I think the Braves is the division winner for this one at least.
Okay, I like that. And then in the Central, I am going with only one team to represent them, and I do think it's going to be the Brew Crew. Give me the Milwaukee Brewers to win the Central.
Ooh, I thought about them. I took the Cubs in that one.
Really?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that are thinking the Cubs might be one of the worst teams in baseball this year. They're already 0-2 because those Japan games counted.
You know what's funny is the Cubs are actually the favorite to win a division too, according to now.
Are they really?
Plus
I forgot. I was listening to was it Chris Rose? I was listening to something the other day, and there were people talking about how the Cubs are terrible. I haven't really followed them that much and seen what they did in the offseason, but
right now to win the division.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I'm going to stick with the Brewers, but I did not know that. I truly thought they were projected to be one of the worst, but we'll see. The whole Central in the National League is not very good.
No, agree.
So that's why I just kind of went with the Brew Crew because they're the only ones that usually.
I do have a wild card coming out of the Central though. So we'll get.
Do you really? Are you going with Tito and the Reds?
Riding with Tito and the Reds, baby.
I figured. I kind of wanted to take them to win the division just because of Tito. Like that dude knows how to get ball players to play baseball, and if there's anybody that's going to help the Reds at least smell the playoffs, it's Tito.
That's what I'm thinking. He's going to have something behind it. So that's. I
just don't know how healthy he's going to be because he always had to step away towards the end of his Guardians tenure for health reasons, and now he's not any younger. He took a year off. I doubt he's any healthier, so it's kind of like, I hope for the best, but I'm not holding my breath. And then in the West, I have 2 teams to represent here. Obviously, the Dodgers are the easy pick. And then I'm going to go with the San Diego Padres as a wild card team. In the World Series, I am going with the Dodgers. So in my mind, it is the Dodgers taking on the Baltimore Orioles in the World Series. And unfortunately, for any Orioles fans at home, Give me the Dodgers in a repeat because for me, it's Dodgers versus the field to win the World Series next year. I think they're the best team in baseball by a country mile, and I don't see anybody dethroning them unless Mookie Betts continues to become Benjamin Button, he's becoming opposite of Benjamin Button. He's growing into a small child. He now weighs like 100 pounds, and he has horrible food poisoning, and he's dying from their Japan trip. But give me the Dodgers.
Yeah, I had the Mets, Reds, and Phillies as my wild card, but I do have the Dodgers winning it all in the World Series.
Yeah.
The roster is so stacked. It's like playing like a career show team on like MLB The Show.
It really is. It's so good. And again, Shohei Ohtani is just so fucking good. I love watching him play baseball. I am so happy. I went to a game with Romer, actually, friend of show, Dan Romer. He invited me to a Guardians game a couple years ago, and it was Guardians and the Angels, and that was when they had Mike Trout and they had Shohei Ohtani. I got to see both of them play in person for the first time. They were great seats. I was so excited. Ohtani is, again, I think he's going to go down as one of the greatest baseball players ever. So seeing him in person was fucking really cool and not something I will ever forget. Really quickly, change of pace. I didn't have this one in the list, but I thought about it today, and I meant to text George, but it's not a big deal. But congratulations to Eddie George. It's kind of funny that I created my person on NCAA 25, and I was like, you know what? They're kind of Browns colors. They're in Ohio. I made Justin George the head coach of Bowling Green. And Eddie George decides to step away from Tennessee State, and he takes the head coaching job at Bowling Green University. And I couldn't be happier for him. I'm a huge Eddie George is my favorite football player of all time because I've told the story a million times. My mom bought me his jersey when I was a kid just because it said George. I had never watched football, had no idea who he was. This was like 1996. It was a Houston Oilers number 27 baby blue Eddie George jersey. She got it because it said George, and I was like, oh, cool. So I Googled, or at the time I didn't Google. I had to ask people, who the fuck is it's George? And my uncle said, oh, he's a running back. He plays for the Oilers. He went to Ohio State. He won the Heisman Trophy. And I was like, oh, shit, there's so much involved with this dude in Ohio. And like locally, we have the same last name. I was a kid. I was dumb. I didn't understand that we're probably not related because, he's African-American. I'm not. But at the time I was like, oh, man, I wonder if I'm related to him. Don't think so. But George, I have a really sick black Ohio State helmet. Oh, I'm sorry. What were you saying, Kyle?
Yeah, an uncle 3 times removed, maybe, but yeah.
It's possible. I have a Buckeyes jersey of Eddie George hanging up that says George. I have it autographed. And then I have a really cool helmet that says Eddie George. He autographed it, 1995 Heisman winner. It's a black helmet. It's got the stickers on it for the Buckeyes. It's an authentic helmet. It's badass. I got that one in my collection. But yeah, huge Eddie George fan. Congratulations for him getting that job with Bowling Green. If they ever come close enough, I might want to go to a game just to, watch him coach in person. I think it'd be really cool. From what I've always heard, he's a great head coach. He really turned Tennessee State around, got the Bowling Green job. He's moving his way up, and I could see him progressing to possibly being an NFL head coach one day is what I've heard from people who like pay attention to that,
Urban Meyer track. He's going to go from Bowling Green to Florida, and from Florida to Ohio State.
That's the biggest reason he got hired at Bowling Green was Urban Meyer. When they were looking for a new head coach, Urban Meyer stuck his neck out and said, you need to get Eddie George. He's going to be great. So they hired him because of Urban Meyer's recommendation. So really cool for him. I, again, love Eddie George. Always seemed like a really good stand-up dude. Very smart. He was on 92.3 last week. Very political, good answers. Just seems like a really good dude. And I really am happy for him. And again, really close. Bowling Green's only, 2 hours away. So really cool that happened for him. And with that being said, we have reached the end of the show, and we are going to do just the tip. Kyle, as usual, leads us off.
My tip this week is the new Daredevil series, Born Again. I'm not sure.
Did they release? Sorry to interrupt. Did they release all of that, or are they doing weekly episodes?
They just dropped 2 more yesterday, and I think there's only 1 more to go, maybe 2 more to go. But
okay, I haven't started it yet.
Yeah, it's really good. If you watch the original Daredevil back on Netflix,
absolutely,
same characters are still in it. The guy who plays Daredevil does it so fucking well. Like, the show is so well written.
Cox.
Oh yeah, he does it so well, and it's so weird seeing him when he's not acting as a blind guy, because I still think he's actually blind, but he plays it so well. But
he was in town over the weekend at that Cleveland Expo.
He was there.
Yeah, he was one of the guests.
I didn't know that. No, I wish I would have known. But so they bring back a lot of the people. This story takes place 7 years after the last episode of The Last Daredevil in Netflix. Obviously, a lot of stuff has happened in the Marvel Universe from then till now. This is fully blown right into the Marvel Universe. There's some characters, some cameos, some things that take place that really connected. But honestly, Daredevil's known for a couple things: good story, good villain. Vincent, whatever his name is, I forget.
DeFalo or something like that.
He plays such a good Kingpin, and the fight scenes are amazing. The storytelling is amazing. So if you're a Daredevil fan, it's a must watch. And they're already recording season 2 right now. Like they already have pictures of season 2 being recorded and everything. So give it a watch. You will not be disappointed.
Hell yeah, definitely on my list of shows to watch. We're currently finishing. What did we just watch? We finished Shrinking. Season 2, that was fantastic. We're currently watching Dexter. We're watching the Dexter New Blood or whatever the remake one. That's really Original Sin, Dexter Original Sin. We're watching that right now. We only have a couple episodes to go. That's actually really good. So next up for me is Severance, and then I think Daredevil is going to be right after that. So we're catching up on some shows here. We're getting there.
I have yet to start it yet, and I keep on hearing so many amazing things about it.
Oh, season 1 was so fucking good. I couldn't wait for season 2 to come out, but I was waiting for all of them to be out, and it worked out beautifully because the finale was just last week. So we're almost done with Dexter, and then we're going to be starting Severance. So I'm really excited for that. My tip this week is a movie that just came out not that long ago. It's currently on HBO Max, Heretic, with
Hugh Grant.
I'm drawing a blank on his name. Hugh Grant, that's it. I saw this movie kind of popped up. I never really heard of it. I watched the trailer and I was kind of like, I'm very interested in this movie. And the trailer, I'll give you this, the trailer kind of deceives you a little bit. It's just basically, the trailer only shows these 2 girls go to his house. They knock, they're Jehovah's Witnesses. They said, do you want to learn more about, our Lord and Savior? We saw you signed up for like more information. And he said, yeah, of course, come on in. They're Mormon. So they're like, is your wife home? We're not allowed to be in your house without another woman present. And he's like, oh yeah, she's in there baking a blueberry pie. And they're like, okay. And they go in. Next thing you know, the doors don't open. They can't get out. From there, that's kind of all they show you in the trailer. I don't want to give anything else away, but they make it seem like he's like a crazy person that holds these girls hostage, which, I mean, I guess is technically like what's happening, but it's deeper than that. It's basically, he spends the whole movie, and this, I think you would really enjoy it because you like history and things like that. He basically spends the whole movie trying to debunk religion to them and how, like, well, if you believe in this, why does this happen? Why does this happen? And he like knows everything about every religion, and he's showing them how like religion is just like the game Monopoly, how somebody started it, then other people made different variations, and like there's like the gimmicky ones and shit like that. It's actually really good. It's very deep. It gets a little supernaturally towards the end, but then everything kind of gets explained, and really cool ending. I honestly really enjoyed this movie. If you get a chance to watch it, I think it was only hour and a half, 2 hours, but it was a really good movie. It's on HBO. Check it out. I was really a big fan of this one. This one was one of my favorite movies I've watched so far this year.
I'll have to watch. Have you seen the trailer? Not to change subject, but have you seen the trailer for that Woman in the Yard movie?
Oh yeah, I saw that a while ago. I don't know why they do it like that, but there was a teaser trailer for it, honest to God, like a year ago. And I'm like, okay, that looks cool. And then they're like, coming out in May of 2025. And I'm like, what the fuck? That's like a year away. I think it was a trailer before the Strangers movie, actually. And that was back in like fucking August.
Jess and I are going to go watch it, but yeah, it looks pretty good. And then I was going to tell you too, we just finally watched Terrifier 3 last week. So
oh, you did?
We're caught up now.
Hell yeah, dude! They're just fun movies. Just nothing mindless movies. He makes a good Santa Claus though. Art the Clown, I'll give him that.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. But
everybody, we're off for 2 weeks. Again, maybe next week I'll be doing that movie What the Flick stream. We'll talk about that. I'll obviously make posts and let everybody know where I stand with that and if I can do it. Other than that, we'll be back in 2 weeks, and we will be breaking down whatever's going on in the NFL. Maybe the Browns make a move at quarterback. Maybe we hear some rumors. We'll start to do a little bit of our team needs. We'll go around the NFL, and we'll talk about some shit like that. We'll fill that episode. And we'll have 2 weeks of MLB baseball to talk about. We're going to have 2 more weeks of Cavs basketball to talk about right before the playoffs. Plenty to talk about, and that will all be in 2 weeks. Same time, same channel, YouTube, Facebook. Talking about balls, share, tell your friends, do everything. Next 2 weeks, 2 Wednesdays from now, 7 to 9. We will talk to you guys then. Other than that, Kyle, do you got anything?
Got nothing. I'm getting ready to go and finish eating.
All right, everybody. Same with me. I got to get off here. Actually, I'm not going to lie. My microphone stand came undone, so I'm holding my microphone right now because the whole thing's going to come apart. So I have to get off of here and redo all that. So we'll talk to you guys in 2 weeks. Thank you so much for watching. Cleveland, that was for you.